Hey everybody, hey CubeMiser. All right, today is Wednesday. We are going to be doing game design. I'm going to work on game design all day. The goal is not to code so that we gain as much clarity as possible on some of the new systems that are going to be in Skeleseller. Yeah. Hey Joss. Whoa, what's that? Is that a Valentine's Day thing? Yeah. How do you get this? You have to like share a clip on YouTube or something? And do you get anything good from this? Shared their favorite Twitch clips in February. And I missed the clappy emotes. Do I care about this? What do you get? Share the... Oh, you just get a badge? That's... Oh, global emotes. Okay, yeah. All right. You don't get anything special then. Just the badge. I don't care about the badge. Just click the share button. That's it. So I could like go to my own Twitch page and just click that button. Hold on. This is now number one importance. Let me see. Share. Copy link. Also download to make sure. Download. How do I even do that? Download landscape version. All right, there. Did I get it? Did I get a badge? I don't know. I'll see if I'll do that tomorrow on someone else's channel, I guess. Download a clip from anyone's Twitch channel for a silly badge. Okay, anyway. Cooking and miss first. Yeah, CubeMiser got it. Oh, it takes a day or two to get it. Okay, yeah, maybe I'll get it then. All right, anyway, yeah, today's about game design, and we are going to kick this off with this document. I also want to publish a new version of the game, but I don't think we're going to do any coding. In fact, I don't even know what would be in this new version. I fixed a bug. What else? Yeah, it was pretty much just fix that bug. This is, I don't know. People have been complaining about this. The way the game is set up is such that customers have to go through the potion shop. And by going through the potion shop, they're more likely to prefer that shop. So I changed it so that, what's going on here? Turn this off, turn this off. This is not Skeleseller lagging. As far as I know, this is just Mac being slow with this. Yeah, so the potion shop is here and customers had to walk through it and they would want to buy from the potion shop. Now, when they get to the potion shop, they will randomly pick any of the shops that currently has an item for sale and go there. So it means that when someone first enters the town, they have an even chance of picking any of these, regardless of distance. However, there are some peculiarities there that aren't really worth diving into. But as an example, let's say 3 customers came here, and the only place that has an item is your weapon shop, but there's only one. All 3 of these customers will go over to the weapon shop. And in the time it takes them to get there, your other shops may have gotten stocked with stuff. So now the 3 customers will end up over at the weapon shop, they'll buy the 1 item, and now they'll just wander around normally. So anyway, it'll probably all work out. And maybe it'll feel better. I don't know. We'll see. Hey, Atomic Man. How are we doing today? We're doing well. I think you might be looking for the today command. I was going to say there is the Skeleseller command as well, but I don't really update that too frequently. Anyway, yeah, we'll publish a new build. But let's get back to game design stuff. There is quite a lot to do here. Let's look at our to-do list. Design the farming system for Fortitude, design how decorations will work, design the mimic, figure out where we'll put stuff for the perk stuff for the slime and enchanter, and then polish any designs for clarity and simplicity. And yeah, this is definitely going to take all day. I can't imagine getting this done sooner than in like 5 hours. Okay, well, anyway, let's talk about farming briefly. I say briefly because we don't need to come up with this now, but it might be nice. So the goals of farming: have another system that's fun to engage with and give fortitude buffs as a reward. Yeah, maybe different classes have different multipliers. Don't forget to hydrate. Oh yeah, I definitely need to hydrate. Oh, Can't wait to send the PR. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be great, and I'm glad you worked on it. Okay, so let's look at this briefly. This is not what I thought it was. Farming. Oh, it's closed, I think. Yeah. Yeah, see, the idea here was there were plants, they mature in some amount of time. I think having a time-based system could be interesting for this because nothing else is time-based. Yeah, I need to put some thought into this too. Minecraft. Some basic C# knowledge. Want to make a game? How should I learn? There aren't many good Godot C# tutorials. You might be watching an ad right now, so I'll type the response. I actually suggest starting with GDScript, even if you know C#. That way you can get a grip on Godot without having to worry about a slightly non-traditional path. Then setting up C# shouldn't be too bad. See my notes. Notes, C#. Yeah. If you can hear me, let me know. But it does say that an ad break is running right now, so I assume you can't. Which is why I typed that out. Okay, so something time-based could be interesting. Hey, James. Should it involve your adventurers / workers somehow? Should it involve battling? Yeah, we console.log our things here. We gd.print hello world here. We omit our semicolons. So general hunch here is that it probably shouldn't involve battling because fishing already does. Then again, stocking shops involves adventurers in the town heavily. Actually, fishing involves both. I'm not sure. Sorry, I missed it. Oh, I typed out the response knowing that you had ads. So I typed it out up here. But to go into a little bit more detail, the reason I suggest GDScript is because that way you're just focusing on Godot. Godot and GDScript are very much hand in hand. So you'll find a lot of tutorials for GDScript stuff. You'll find all the APIs you search for are going to be in the GDScript notation with underscores. It's a good way to get started. And I'm not saying do that for a year or something. You know, maybe try it for a few days or a week or a month or whatever you're comfortable with. And then maybe switch to C#. Not everything is going to translate one-to-one, but it's close enough. All right, so we have this, which I'll open up over here. And I really should stop closing the game. I keep doing this. I keep closing the game because I'm like, oh, everything's done. But I want to look at it again and see. Oh wait, I gotta get rid of this change. Yeah, I don't think using C# at first is setting yourself up for failure in Godot. I don't think it's worthwhile for the first few days, basically. And if people want to skip that, that's totally fine. I mean, it's like I said, it's not like you're totally shooting yourself in the foot there. All right, so there'd be a farm somewhere. I mean, actually, there doesn't have to be. We could do this in any way we want. I think it makes sense for there to be in the town. Otherwise, what are we doing? It could also really be the foraging system. Should this be the foraging system instead? Maybe you just get fruit trees around the town. And maybe they have experience points. Oh my God. You know what just cracked me up right now is what if you equip your trees in the game and that's how you put in an equipment system? What if you could equip your trees with gear? It's just so stupid. Like plus 10% chance to get a fruit. plus 50% fruit size, those sorts of things. I don't think I'm gonna do this, but oh man, if people are like, "Can we get equipment in the game?" and that's how I do it, you put like wreaths and ornaments and stuff on the trees. Oh man. Yeah, and converting the stuff between GD scripts and C sharp in either direction isn't too bad. It's just, I think if you're starting out, it's easier to go with what most people are using. You need to make everything silly. I mean, the game is getting a little sillier each time we work on this. Like the garbage slime instead of just a trash can or something is already one aspect of this, I feel. This is on the silliness scale, it's like a 2 out of 10. Then what we've talked about for fishing is that you're actually going to start a battle against your pond. That's like a 6 out of 10 silliness. So if you could equip trees with items, I feel like that's like an 8 out of 10. So yes, we would be getting sillier and sillier, but I think that would be fun. I think it would like slowly differentiate itself. I don't like the idea of equipment regardless. The same reasons why I don't like it for adventurers, I also don't really like it for trees, but it's hilarious. And I wonder if there's any game out there where you equip trees with stuff. Probably not. Hey, Remy. I should make YouTube tutorials with C Sharp Godot. You know, I was just thinking this morning, I might start a series. Hey, Turbo Dave. I might start a series about like Godot mini lessons and just focus on, like, we have a tooltip on parent class. Like, what does this do? Why do we do it? What do we use it for? And maybe do like a 2-minute video or something. I don't think it'd probably be super helpful for people, but I might start that up. In fact, I kind of want to write that down here. Consider the Godot mini lessons so that I can share some knowledge and spread the word about Skeleseller. Anyway, we got to just keep brainstorming here. So brainstorming, foraging would be a way for you to change the town and still have your adventurers be involved. It could be good to give adventurers a time-based task here. E.g., they set out to plant something and it takes 30 seconds before they're done. At that point, though, I feel like we would just use the battle system since that already has all of that built in. You could start a battle with each individual plot of land. Maybe each phase of farming is its own battle. Planting, watering, harvesting. Well, I guess like tilling, planting, watering, harvesting. I think that sounds interesting. What? What sounds interesting? The Yeah, what? Oh. The tutorial. Yeah, I agree. I think that could work. What else? Actually, there were other things not related to farming, but a system for like, I know it sounds kind of silly to write it this way, but capturing enemies could be interesting. You feed them something, maybe the farm output, and they produce items for. Oh, that could be really interesting. I like this idea of a mimic. Maybe that's what the mimic does. Maybe that's what the mimic is. You can feed it food and it'll give you items faster. That's kind of like the garbage slime though. Hey Krasner, thank you. Hey Dark. So you need to figure out how much you're involved versus how much your workers are involved. I think it's got to be that this is just another thing you can manage. Like let's advance forward in the game. let's click show all signs here. You've got your tavern, you've got your enchanter, you got your town hall, you've got all the shops. That definitely shouldn't have happened. Oh, is that because I know why that was caused. That's because I cheated. Actually, I don't think I've seen that bug. You click this, then you click grant most things, then you click build anyway, and it builds it again. Can you use both of these? It says it's active, but I don't think it did anything. Yeah, I don't think it did anything. All right, well, that's like I said, that's just a bug for us. Most people don't have that. Yeah, that is hilarious. I've never encountered that before. Final day of game design for a while. Yeah, what I'm picturing, and hey Tim, is that we typically get into like a dev sort of validate and then redesign and then repeat cycle. So we did a bunch of dev for those demos, and then the validation was the demos, and we got a lot of feedback, and it was really good. And the biggest response we got was, I want more of this game. And the problem is we can't just like stretch what we have out. Well, we could for a little bit. If we have 2 hours of gameplay, we could probably stretch that out to like 4 to 5 hours of gameplay by just kind of repeating the same stuff we have. But I think adding new systems is what's important. So that's what we started designing. We came up with fishing. We came up with some other like rough systems here, like a mimic that you could get in your town and it could spit out items for you. Where were the other ones that we had? Oh, a decoration system. Yeah, rare items. I don't think there's a lot that's going to add content here. I'm looking forward to trying this out. Hey, Scorbudico, welcome in, and thank you. What if you need to get fertilizer for your farm and you somehow have to use the corpses of the enemies you defeat? Okay, so I like the general idea. We would need to tone the flavor down to be a little lighter than it currently is. Like, using the corpses of enemies to do anything in this game is like bumping it up in ESRB rating. So it'd have to be like you use the essence of monsters or something like that. Imagine just tossing a bunch of bats on the pile. Yep, making some pumpkins. So planning at the endless dungeon? Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's even written down. So let's write that down. Endless. Yeah, it could be endless dungeons. Is this in the good ideas to consider? Yes, it is. Enemies don't heal in between battles. It would love if they go deeper. Maybe difficult to balance. I do like the idea. Lots of options. Yeah. Dream of having the I can't get enough comments too. Yeah, and to be clear, it's not like people are like, oh my God, this is the greatest game in the world. Like they finished the demo and they're like, okay, that was cool. Like I'm looking forward to seeing the full game. And I pulled back the curtain and there's just dust and tumbleweeds. And I'm like, there is no full game. So yeah, that's what we're designing right now. Get non-subtle items like slime, mucus. Yeah. So something like that. And I wonder if that's what we do. Yeah, maybe you get something from monsters or enemies that's only usable when farming, e.g. bat wings and slime goop. Would that be interesting, I wonder? So I guess your workers would stock this onto your farm. They could be meta currencies. They could be meta currencies that get stocked into the farm. And maybe that's where the mulcher comes in. Okay, this is shaping out to be something, maybe. The mulcher will produce seeds, I guess. And then how do you water the plants? Do you even need to water the plants? Maybe it's just irrigated for you. Maybe it's irrigated for you. Because what I'm thinking is, like, phase 1, get seeds. The way you do this is fight battles, get monster parts or something like that, put them in the mulcher. Seeds are spit out. So you're already battling, so you're already getting the farming stuff. But now your workers are going to be taken up by transporting this to the mulcher. So this will give your workers one more transportation task to do. Looks like there are tons of buildings. Yeah. And eventually I do want there to be maybe not the entire map. We have quite a lot of space here. But I'd like us to, if you picture this kind of middle rectangle here being where most of this stuff is, I'd like to maybe double this. So we have this area right now. We're going to expand this downward to be fishing, possibly farming. Maybe we end up with like the museum up here or something like that. And then maybe, I don't know, one more system kind of goes over here somewhere. And I think that would be pretty good for the like starter version of the game, V1. That bug also duplicates warehouse displays. Yeah. Yeah, none of that was ever supposed to be doable. To have some bosses become cute pets, which haul the drops. So people have talked about that. Like, what if you could have the bosses become workers in your town? I I like the idea, but we would need more art for it because right now the bosses aren't really set up for, like, if I just start a battle here and hit toggle invincibility, the boss graphics aren't really set up for like carrying items around. We need very special graphics for that, and all of them would need that. So this is just the ogre, but now imagine if we had the dragon doesn't really look like it should be walking anywhere. We had to make some like cutesy sprites like in this style. Well, maybe that has to be bigger. I don't know. Anyway, I think what you'll get, excuse me, from bosses is statues of bosses, and they'll form the decorations for your town. At some point it eats too much trash and becomes a boss you can take on. No, but it's your happy friendly slime. It can't become a boss. So phase 2, plant or water. Maybe this is manual. Maybe placement matters. Like if all you have to do is plant the seeds, I don't think that's a problem because that's not very much manual interaction. But what would be fun about that, I wonder? And what would be fun is either having some decision or some mini game in there. And the decision would have to be like, or it could be maybe you have to decide how to spend your monster mulch on seeds or fertilizer. Maybe there's just a generic seed packet that you get. Is their pre-skeleton name known? No. Although people have kind of been joking maybe that it was like Tom and now you're Skeletom. Just, or Skeletoni or something, I don't know. Imagine you use the ogre for smashing items or the dragon for smelting. Yeah, that stuff would be pretty cool. And these are things that I think as we get more systems, maybe some of this stuff will slot itself in naturally. Like, what's a good example? Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I was thinking Tom without even thinking of any puns, having not heard any of that. You might have heard some of that. You might have even suggested it before. Yeah, or maybe it is just cryptomnesia. Get seeds, plant or water, and then phase 3 would be harvest. So get seeds. What if harvest is, what if this is a battle? You battle your farmstead. Maybe because you planted it with monster mulch that you're actually fighting the plants, like they become enemies. There's like pumpkin enemies and watermelon enemies and stuff. What if the crops are actually enemies at this point? Pumpkin monsters. I'm not certain I like this. I think I like this idea of you're getting monster parts from battle. Because remember, in the end, this has to produce some food that you use to get fortitude for your characters. So this is going to feed into power progression. Yeah, this is manual, maybe placement matters. Seeds would affect other seeds, or 2 seeds planted nearby would create a third. Probably too much here, but just mentioning it. Yeah, I want whatever it would be to be pretty simple. There was that idea we had a while ago. And by a while ago, I mean on Monday, where you would collect X of, or collect different colored gems, and you needed, say, 5 of one color to progress. You do something like that for seeds. E.g., you can only farm one crop at a time, and you need 9 seeds to progress. I don't know if that's interesting though. I guess it could dictate where you fight. Not sure this is interesting yet. There's something good about everything you do in the game interacting with the battle system. I think it's nice to have some of these systems touch on it, but I'm not sure that all of them need to. The nice thing about the battle system is, if you think about it, battles in the game right now are basically like a time-based event, and they're limited by adventurers, limited by the battle slots. You can only have 3 concurrently, and they already have all of the UI for them, which is kind of nice. So this is the sort of functional part here. Well, I guess all these things are functional, but then this is a nice little benefit of, we already can reuse all this stuff. About reusing it for farming, I think the idea that you're battling your pond for fishing, I mean, we could do that for farming too. I do wonder, should they turn into enemies? What would happen if you lost against them? Also, what is the reward for this such that it's better than doing a regular battle? I guess the reward is the fortitude food. Guess it's the fortitude food. In fact, maybe what you're doing is you're crafting a battle that you think you can beat. Okay, that would be interesting. What if you were crafting a battle that you then bet on being able to beat? It's like create a boss system. The more monster mulch you use, the stronger the enemy that comes out. And at any point, you can see its general stats and reward. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I like this idea. You're able to make a battle that maybe you can't even win. And yeah, if you lose it, then you would have lost all those resources that went into it. And if you make a battle that's too easy, then you're not being efficient about it. Okay, that's pretty interesting. If you lost, the harvest is lost, they run away. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Bet on how many enemies you can kill. It's really fun. Yeah, or different seeds add different rules. So I like this idea. I think this is worth fleshing out. Could be that different seeds add different stats / rules to the battle. Okay, so yeah, what if it started like this? You can bring 4 adventurers into the fight. The fight is level 1, or I guess like stats of enemies. 1 enemy, level 1. I'm just gonna write out some numbers here: 100 HP, 10 power, 2 fortitude, and no special abilities. Then you do something like plant. I'm again, just make something up, like plant bat seeds. This is like add an enemy to combat. Plant slime seeds. Add health to all enemies in combat, and so on and so forth. There's something like plant, I don't know, whatever, ogre seeds. Add power to all enemies in combat. And dragon seeds would be like add some special ability to all enemies in combat, and so on and so forth. And then you at some point choose to fight it, and then you get a reward based on that. I like this idea. I think this can work. limiting your ability from being able to do all parts of the game at the same time can be a good thing. Regular battle, fishing, battling the farm, other systems you can't do simultaneously because of slot number. That's a game loop you want to explore. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't want it to constantly feel like it's in contention. So the way that fishing works is your pond fills with fish as you dump potions in. So you need to do regular battles to get the potions, and then you need to have your adventurers walk over to the pond, and then your pond is finally at like 100 out of 100 fish, and now you decide to battle. And then once this is all done, you could be like, okay, I'm going to free up this slot for another 10 minutes or something like that. I think it's going to be the same kind of thing with farming, except for probably not use the battle system as much. It's like you're moving stuff to the, or like, yeah, you're battling for monster parts and then moving them to the mulcher and then forming some like mega battle to do once. So I like this. They both intersect with the battle system, but in different ways. This is a one-time battle, which might last a minute. This is maybe many battles, but it's only once in a while. Whereas regular battles are like all the time. So I like this. And in fact, this is one of the things that I think StarCraft did geniusly, if that's even a word. They had 3 races, Terran, Protoss, and Zerg, and they all had very different building mechanics. Like SCVs had to be active building, but could do it anywhere and weren't consumed by building. And Zerg was drones had to sacrifice themselves to build and could only do it on creep. And then Protoss had probes could warp in buildings anywhere within a power field and could then do whatever they want while it's warping in. And it was like, look, just those little changes made you think about which playstyle did you like the best or which one kind of suited you, or I don't know. I like those little changes here. And I like that we have those sorts of facets to the systems that we're designing now. So yeah, I think what would be a problem is if we were like, okay, farming is also going to be engaging in battle like 100% of the time. I think that would be an issue because then you'd be like, man, I have to basically pick between battling and farming. Yeah. I just want to see the paladin throwing watering cans. How do we get that? I think they're going to be regular battles, so I don't think we're going to end up with that. But we could still have your adventurers throwing fishing poles if we really wanted it. And I don't think we're going to do that either. I think they're going to just use their abilities on the pond. What if you could battle other people's crafted battles? I think it all depends on how powerful the system is. This has a very high risk of being an unfun system. Like, it's possible that what I'm designing sounds good on paper, but in practice, people are like, oh yeah, I get the battle level 3 and then I fight it. I win every single time. And that's good enough for me. But yeah, I like the idea. So let's think of how we can flesh this out. So what we pretty much came up with, here are the conclusions so far. You pay to unlock the farm at some point. It comes with a monster mulcher. No, wait, no. Yes, monster part mulcher? Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll come with a name later. By unlocking the farm, you can now find monster parts from battle. Bat wings, slime goop, etc. The monster mulcher, I guess your workers bring these monster parts to the monster mulcher and get something, seeds, fertilizer, not sure yet. These objects can be used to, I guess they'd have to be planted on your farm, right? And maybe your farmstead can increase in size. They probably have to be seeds. Yeah, they probably have to be seeds. You plant the seeds on your farm to form the parameters around a battle. And you're limited by your farmstead's space. You can upgrade your farm increased space, maybe like more seeds per monster part, etc. I'm not going to plan those out. Those are easy once you have the rest of the system. Okay, at any point you can choose to battle the creature on your farm. Maybe it looks like some amalgamation of a bunch of different enemies. A blob monster with wings and a dragon tail or something. If we're finding slime goop, how will the town slime feel about this new mulching of its cousin? The town slime's not going to be in line of sight of this, so they'll be blissfully ignorant. Hey, Ski. So our town slime wouldn't be very happy. What if it decides to start eating the townsfolk rather than items? Well, as long as you're getting gold from it, you probably wouldn't care. You'd be like, oh, well, there goes Bob. I got 1,000 G's. Schrodinger's, thanks for the resub. Welcome back. Okay, this sounds good. I guess you just automatically get these. Your workers bring these monster parts to the monster mulcher and get seeds. You plant the seeds on your farm to form the parameters on battle. I'm gonna write you manually plant this. You're limited by your farmstead space. At any point, you can choose to battle the creatures on your farm. These creatures look like some amalgamation of a bunch of different enemies. Yeah. And then if you win this battle, you get the food that turns into permanent fortitude buffs. If you lose this battle, then you have to replant your farm. Fleeing shouldn't be allowed for this battle, since fleeing has no consequence. Yeah. Hi, Potato. Actually, wait a second. I don't know about this. Yeah, I don't know about this. Fleeing should be changed to ask for confirmation, since there would be a consequence here. We can't just disable fleeing in case you have a functionally invincible party that does no damage. I don't want to keep you hostage there for like 10 minutes while you watch some battle play out. And this is probably possible in the game, that you get to functional invincibility, but your damage output is so low that you're just like, oh my God, what did I do? We've had it happen in the past, and I don't think it's worth trying to avoid that. It's just, let's give you an escape hatch. Am I more lively? I worked out before the stream today instead of working out after the stream. I wonder if that had something to do with it. Although I thought I'd tried this in the past and it didn't have an impact. I guess I just didn't really push myself all that hard today. You mean so fleeing is enabled after 2 minutes or something? Yeah, that's true too. Well, I think it's probably good to just have it there by default in case you're like, I didn't need to do that. Maybe you start a small battle and you just want to get out of it. Anyway, that's something we could always figure out. So now, how are you figuring out these parameters? Because that's where I think things are going to be a lot tougher. So how do we get this build a monster stuff to work and be balanced? The StarCraft thing was just me saying that there are some key differences in how the different races work that are fun and interesting and do have an impact on gameplay. And I wanted the same sort of thing to be there for like fishing and farming in this game. Because I think a lot of games, if you think of fishing, if I just say, hey, this game has fishing in it, maybe it's an RPG with fishing. Like, let's say I just said that. RPG with fishing. You have some picture in your mind for what this is going to be. And my picture is it's probably a mini game. It's probably like fun for a tiny amount of time, for me at least. And it probably gives you fish, right? So pretty standard stuff here. And if you said farming, farming is a little bit more open-ended, but I'd probably think of like, all right, you're tilling, you're planting, you're watering, you're harvesting, and you're probably getting, gives you food. And this also implies to me like there's probably some cooking mechanic and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, that's fine. This is not how it's going to work in Skeleseller. And yet they'll still be fishing and farming. It's just, I think they'll be a little bit more interesting. Casey, welcome back. Thank you for the 14 months. Yeah, I know. 14 months since I came back. Crazy how time flies. So, one big problem is that you yourself are increasing in power. So, it's kind of a moving target for these monster parts. Maybe it grows exponentially. So, planting 9 crops at once. Plant 1 crop and you get like a level 1 battle. Plant 2 crops and you get a level 3 battle. Plant 3 crops and you get like a level 6 battle. This is probably bad. Yeah, this is probably bad. Because I was going to say, in any of these, we need to think, how will players actually interact with this? How will they maybe game this system? If you're also growing the rewards exponentially, it might be okay. But otherwise, with the way the system is set up, it's like if you were level 3, it's like, well, you're just always going to plant 1 or 2 crops because you can't win the level 6 battle maybe. So you do this and you're like, oh, this is tedious, or I'm not getting many rewards. Or maybe it's a time-based thing and it really doesn't matter too much how powerful the enemy is. Like, should you have a chance to lose, you can't repeat the battle. Not sure. Hi, Turbo Dave, but this time on Twitch. Yeah, so we made the fishing system on Monday. And for those who didn't hear, the way it's going to work is you will build the fishing pond or the lake, and then you will dump potions into the pond. So you'll have some switch here that when you turn it on, it means that all your workers will come down the path and dump your potions into the water. By dumping potions into the water, you will increase the fish population, which you will then open up a battle against your pond, and you'll fight the pond. And the little fish will fly out as you do damage. And then with the fish, you will use them to upgrade your health. Keep you on your toes. You're in 2 places at once. Hey, simple hacker. So that's our fishing system. It is very different from other fishing systems. And now our farming system is very different from other farming systems. You're planting pretty much enemies that you will then fight. Except for, yeah, I'm still not totally sure. Okay, so maybe it's not that the battle is exactly a challenge. It's that it takes some time to beat them, beat the monsters in it. I was joking, but that's awesome. Yeah, I really like the idea. And I like the idea of this too. And I think we need to just come up with what makes it fun. I think the idea of planting these crops and then changing the battle a bit, I think that's pretty cool. But I wonder if it should just be something maybe linear. Maybe you just dump X mulch onto your single crop and it produces an enemy of the level that you might expect. If we had an endless dungeon, this would be pretty similar to that. Yeah, this is the part where I'm caught up. Like the build a battle thing probably won't actually be that interesting the way we have it here. And the way I've seen other games do this, what was that game? Ember Knights. What was that called? They had some system where you could change the chaos system or something. Add variation. I don't know what it's called. What was it? Harder difficulty modifiers. Change difficulty of a run. They had some. Where do you even? Here. Yeah. This. So the way this system worked, you can see behind my head here, you got these little dots. So 1, 2, 3, or 4, and that filled up this difficulty meter over here. So 4 dots would fill up 4 of these bars. And then depending on, let me just turn off my camera for a second. Depending on the difficulty you chose, you'd get a bonus to all the fights you do. So getting this 4 dots is like, wow, enemies are going to attack a lot faster. Getting 1 dot is like, enemies attack a little bit faster. So then you got to pick which of these difficulty modifiers did you want to use for your run. And maybe you thought, oh, enemy attack speed is not so bad and enemy health is not so bad, but I don't want them doing more damage. So you construct that yourself. This is a manually played game, so it's a little different than Skeleseller. But I wonder if something like that could potentially work for this. You know, you're basically just going through this list and you're like, okay, bump their level up by 10. Okay, now give them 3 times as much health. Now give them more damage. But at some point, because this is an automated game and because your power level is persistent, but then this dialogue would produce the same stuff every time, you might be like, okay, I can win this fight every time. So I'm just going to always pick this one. And that's where I want to make sure that this is still interesting. Yeah. That could work too, depending on how much mulch you add, it raises the stakes. Or maybe it's just 2 kinds of mulch. One adds power, one adds a number of enemies. Could rank both the party and the farming battle, so you have an idea of how strong your party is versus the plants. Yeah, I'm just worried that if the stakes are too high, then you're going to do what you can to make sure this is always in your favor. So again, if we went back to like this thing, you realize that, oh, I can't beat something with whatever this is, 20 dots. So you always fight a 5-dot battle. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm winning that. And if you're happy with the rewards from that, then everything's fine, I guess. Yeah, so what's going to encourage you to go higher up in this thing? Maybe this is the endless dungeon? Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe this is the endless dungeon. Maybe you fight a level 1 farming battle. And it requires, okay, I like this a lot. And it requires like 5 mulch. Then the farm requires 10 mulch. And you'll fight the level 2 battle. Yeah, this is great. I think this will work. So you're only limited by, well, I'm not going to write all this out, but I think it's clear how this is working. We have some plan for how the power progresses in this thing. You determine how difficult it is before getting in. And you just get extra bonuses for completion. There's an amount of level and reward scaling for the difference in levels between your level and the dungeon level. Yeah, the thing that's tough for us is that we are probably deleting the concept of level from the game. And instead, you just augment adventurer stats directly. So maybe your rogue has like plus 50 health and plus 20 power, and maybe your mage is totally neglected and that plus 0 of everything. And it'd be hard to say like, okay, you can tackle this level of battle because we just don't know what you would have applied. But yeah, I like this idea. I think the farm becomes your endless battle and you just keep fueling it with more and more mulch, I guess. There is a potential problem with this. Let me write this down, by the way. Manually plant the seeds to form the parameters around battle. You're limited by your farm set space. I don't know about this stuff anymore. We'll have to think of that. The farm is the endless dungeon. Each battle has a certain amount of power behind it and requires a certain amount of mulch. Now can you talk coherently? Now it doesn't talk. It uses telepathy. The problem is this. Battles give you monster parts, but there needs to be another source. Otherwise, this is just an extra battle that you do every so often. At least I think that's the problem. Like the way this is written out now is you're fighting over in the forest. So let's give ourselves this and this. All right, yeah, you're fighting over in the forest. You're fighting against these bats. You win a battle, you get a potion. Oh, now you're also getting a bat wing. And you keep doing this a bunch and you've gotten whatever, 40 bat wings. 40 bat wings is as much as you needed to fight the level 4 battle. So now you go fight the level 4 battle and now you're like, oh, I'm back to square one. We need to get 50 bat wings. So there probably needs to be a way to make this yourself. Maybe you could drag any item into the mulcher. No, that's probably not interesting. Maybe you could just buy the mulch. Yeah, that's probably more important. Maybe you can just buy the mulch. Maybe you can mulch. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. Would that be sort of a party or role-based system of battle, tank DPS sort of thing? We already have that, the party and role-based thing. So you can already start a battle and say like, okay, the warrior's a tank, the cleric's a healer, and we put in a couple DPS characters and we send them in here and see how they do. So that system already kind of exists. And what the system we're talking about is it might let you say something like, all right, I want my cleric to have way more life than everybody else. And I want the warrior to have more defense than everybody else, and the archer to have more power. So you can fill out these adventures how you see fit. Really started liking just sitting on my couch with a controller game rather than on my desk. Even have my laptop there, it feels cumbersome. I was gonna say with Steam, what's it called? Steam Link or Steam whatever casting. You could connect your laptop to your TV and stream from your main computer and then just have a controller. Because one of the problems with a Steam Deck is that it's somewhat heavy. And if you're playing laying down, then you're like holding a heavy thing above your face for a while and your hands go numb. Do you want to make the mulcher also take time to generate the mulch? Maybe it's just that time and you spend money on perks because it's slow. Yeah, it's possible that we go that route. Maybe the mulcher takes time and you can upgrade its throughput or add more mulchers. I only selected adventurers based on my perception of their power. Did you see the skill tree? Because they all have innate skills that explain what they do. So like the rogue pretty much only has stuff for doing damage, but the cleric has this ability, heal, which just heals an adventurer in your party. And then a buff for your party. Like the warrior has taunt, which makes enemies attack the warrior. Which insert seeds to modify the battle itself. Start with 1, expand to 3 or 4, expand to 6, 9, 15. So I was thinking about that. I think there's still a way to make it so that it looks like your farm is getting bigger. I think that's probably important. But I think that as far as customizing the battles, it should probably just be like plant your entire farm every time. Yeah, so let's write down some questions. Is there some way to make the size of the farm correlate to the next battle that you're going to do? I think that would be more visually appealing and would make it seem like you're making a lot of progress. And the blood going down to your elbows because that weird sensation of your arms dying. I forgot we were talking about the Steam Deck at first. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Void Algo? It took me a lot of trial and error before I could beat the later bosses. Gotcha. Yeah. Size and farm increases the number of enemies or waves of enemies. So, okay, wait. Just to make sure we're on the same page here. What I'm thinking of is that the farm is endless, as in you will fight something next, and we have a progression for it. So, for example, like level 1 of the level 1 farm battle costs like 5 mulch. Level 2 and gives you like 5 reward. I'm not going to even say what this is. And then level 2 costs like 10 mulch and gives you 10 reward. or something like this, and it keeps going on and on and on. So level N farm costs, yeah, some X mulch and gives you Y reward. So at any given point, you just be putting in, okay, I need 5 mulch for the next battle. I need 10 mulch for the next battle. So you're unlocking the next one every time. And what we could do is we could say it requires a certain number of seeds, and you're planting those seeds, I guess. Was limited by the boss. So for the farm to get bigger, you need to beat a boss that limits how hard you can make it. Well, how hard you can make it, like I said, I'm picturing you're not actually choosing this stuff. You're not choosing the level. It's always just the next level. And you need like X mulch to start that fight. So at some point, it's going to be like, okay, you got 10 mulch and you got your reward. Do you really want to get 15 now, or is that too hard for you to do? Should you just go beat the next boss anyway? Like we could make it so that the low level enemies, like the forest bats, give you on average like 0.1 mulch per battle. And the volcano bats on average give you like 0.3 mulch per battle. So it's like at some point, you're just going to go here anyway and get more of this. Determines the level of battle you start at when you go into the endless dungeon later. I mean, maybe the size of the farm dictates the highest maximum level you can get to here. Yeah, maybe that's how this works. Maybe the area of the farm determines how many crops you can plant. And the maturity of the plant determines which, or like how close to being able to battle you are. How else can you get mulch? And what takes time here for everything? And I guess, yeah, what is the progression of difficulty and rewards? That we just need to kind of figure out. And what happens if you do too much of this? Yeah, gotta be careful about that. You can always buy mulch, yeah. Yeah, we just gotta be careful that it's not, it doesn't like throw off how you play the game. Probably able to buy it. Hey, Helpless Hero, it's going pretty well. Came up with a decent farming idea so far. To wait for the farm to mature to go into it again. Time gaining and force the player to do everything else. So when I say endless, I mean it's sort of like how quests are endless in the game. We don't expect you to do like 700 quests, but you certainly could. I think the farm should be the same way in that the natural limit is just what's your attention span and how much do you need to beat the game. I think the farm is going to be the same way. We'll have some farmland over here, and yeah, you can fight the 700th boss, but like, are you going to want to do that? Probably not. Well, it's a money sink if that's the only way you can do it. I guess it could be a money sink if you're supplementing, but you need to, like, if you get enough monster parts from just regular battles, then you wouldn't need to supplement this. I think the other thing we need to think about is like, what if players don't want to get monster parts and it's just clogging their warehouse? Maybe there's a switch on the farm that allows you to earn the monster parts, monster parrots, or maybe actually no, not that allows you to earn it. Maybe it just lets the parts go into the warehouse rather than drop on the ground. there's a tension in the game right now that a lot of people have asked about because they think that it's just a quality of life feature, but it actually would change the progression greatly, which is how to drag items around your town. So a lot of people have said like, I want a hotkey to choose the destination of an item. For example, 1 would go to a shop, and 2 would go to the slime, and 3 would go to the quest thing, and now 4 might go to the farm or something like that. The the problem with this is very user friendly if we wanted you to drag things all over the place super fast. Like you've got all these items and you're like, oh man, I want to just sell all of these things. So you just hover over them all and like hit 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, whatever. And then there, you've processed like your whole warehouse. But that's kind of the whole reason you get workers and adventurers. Like your workers should be picking up these items and doing stuff. So I don't want it to become too easy to drag things to a particular location. And this monster part stuff is going to potentially exacerbate this problem. You'll now, instead of getting just potions and cloaks and stuff, which you could just go sell, so like I could drag this into the shop if I want to, you will get a bat wing, which you cannot sell. And if you don't want those bat wings, then now your workers are going to be occupied doing something that you don't care about. Maybe a store to sell monster parts, a Halloween shop, dressed as a monster for Halloween. We'll do a tie-in with Spirit, the Halloween shop. Yeah, I think buying them is probably going to be important. It's just so funny to me. Just watching all the characters stand there waiting to restock. Not a fan of hotkeys in the places. My personal complaint for items is just making dragging a little more user friendly. Yeah, we've done part of that. So now you can drag. Let me add in a bunch of customers here. Otherwise, this will never actually clear out. There. Go, customers. Buy everything. Yeah. Anyway, so one of the things that we made less fiddly is you can now drag things to the general vicinity of the store and it'll still accept it. But, and I wasn't even thinking hotkeys necessarily. I was thinking like you start dragging, now you see a radial menu show up and like you can just drag every item straight up and it's going to sell them or something. Or you drag them straight down and it's going to put them in the slime. Have an option to set priorities for your workers. Yeah, that's what I was trying to avoid. I want to make sure that people don't feel the need to customize the priorities of their workers. Because then I feel like you'd be fiddling with a UI to be like, all right, this worker should do something different. And now I want all my workers to do something else. So I want there to be, what I'm thinking of for fishing is there will be a switch here. And when you click this, it means that your characters are going to bring potions down here. So that's the way I want you to be able to customize priorities, is just like a make this one the top priority for everybody. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Raimi. So I think we're on the same page, and I think that'd be good. All right. I think we need to flesh this out. So you pay to unlock the farm. Yeah, I guess we need to answer. We've kind of answered this at least. Well, maybe not. So we're gonna make the size of the farm correlate to this. So the size of the farm, I think, would dictate how many plants you could have. But the number of plants isn't necessarily all that's important. It's also got to be like the quality of plants. Maybe the type of plant factors into this. Okay, maybe the monster parts can be used to purchase seeds. And you have to unlock better seeds. So like I'm just gonna make something up, like minor seeds. This costs like 5 mulch to make, gives 3 points toward the battle. And like medium seeds might cost 10 mulch to make, but gives 7 points toward the battle. I.e., better seeds are always the way to go. But then why you wouldn't pick these? at that point, just don't have a choice for this. Just always plant the seed. Always plant the best seed. Yeah, that could work. Like a ton of NPCs rush in and then shortly after leave, and you're scrambling to get more items to sell. I like the idea of events. We've had this written down. Like a flood of customers could be one such event. Do we have that written down already? Item pinata, farming, customer flood. Yeah. I like that idea. And they go and buy like everything from your town and then they just leave. And that only happens like once every hour or hour and a half or something. So maybe you see it 2 or 3 times per game run. I think that'd be cool. Yeah, so I think this could work. So what I'm picturing is that you'd have some like tiny plant, and at first that's all you can plant on your farm, I guess. Yeah, so not only are you limited by the space, but you're also limited by the kind of plant you can get. You need to unlock more plants. Okay, that can work. I like that. You farm to process the crops in the mulcher, and you use the mulch to summon the monsters in a fight. So a bigger farm gives you more mulch, and you can improve it in other ways. You can still get mulch from monsters too, or not. That could potentially also work. So your farm is just another throughput machine. Let me think about this. I still want the area of your farm to matter. So I guess there's some number of like crops it could produce. Yeah. It would be producing like X food per minute. When you reach Y food, you can do the next fight. Can you stockpile this? I think that would be one of the questions people might have. Maybe you just wouldn't be able to harvest again. Couldn't harvest if you were already set for the next fight. All right, so now how do we make it so that you can improve this throughput? I guess it still would just be that you get different seeds. Still get different seeds for this. And you could still always plant the best seeds at any given time. So basically what I'm picturing is there's a plant button and it says something like plant, I'm just going to make something up here, blueberry seeds. And it costs like 10 mulch. And that'll eventually lead to, 12 food. But if you plant, again, making stuff up here, strawberry seeds, 20 mulch, that'll lead to 25 food. So it'll always just plant whatever the best crop is that you can do. Maybe there's like a plant all button. Yeah. Well, would there have to be? I guess not. I guess there could be a plant and a plant all button. There could be a plant all button that will just click this as many times as needed for you. Yeah, I think that could work. Either an upgrade from beating elites or yeah, exactly. So you have a silo or something for the food. All right. And then I think having this take a certain amount of time to grow. I don't think you need to water it or anything. I don't think that would be important. Although maybe clicking could water it and it'll speed up the growth a little bit, but you don't need to do it. But people might think they need to do it. Then the plants will grow automatically. So what harvests them? Maybe a worker goes and cuts it down. then a worker would need to harvest the plant. It would simply take the output and then put it in the warehouse. Well, the warehouse, the silo, I guess we have to call it, so it's not overloaded. Pay gold to plant, and the plants give you the mulch, rename the life essence or something like that. That essence is then used for fights. Yeah, so what I'm picturing here is this. You buy the farm. It starts out as a 2x2 patch of land. And you get a plant button. Wait, hold on. This concept of getting monster parts. Maybe this is separate. Yeah, maybe you do just buy the seeds to begin with. And the monster mulch thing is a way of you getting seeds automatically. But I still want you to buy them, I think. Could just be that the mulcher is to give you seeds automatically, but you otherwise buy them. Yeah. No, I don't like that. I like to give you the meta resource. I'd rather it give you the meta resource for planting. That way the plant button doesn't ever cost money on its own. Yeah, something like this. Clicking an empty patch of land. Oh man. Gotta think about this. You plan on making mercenaries. Let's say you can't complete a fight and you can hire mercenaries for 3 minutes, 400 gold, helps you in fights. I think there are a bunch of little things that I would not want about mercenaries. For one, anything that's timed in the game is very difficult to control because it's all automated. So originally we had this concept of this spell, instead of granting you speed to workers, was like grant you a worker for 30 seconds. So you just got a new worker out of the portal. The problem is they would start to drag an item, they'd get like halfway to their destination and they just cease to exist. So they'd drop the item on the ground and it would like kind of hurt you that you even used that spell. So that's why we changed it instead to just your workers move faster. Because when that runs out, you don't lose the worker. They just don't move as fast. So mercenaries, maybe that amount of time you have is enough for them to be able to win the fight, but maybe it's not. I guess you'd have to keep them for the duration of the fight anyway. But what fight is this that you can't win? And do you already have the tools to be able to win it eventually? And I'd rather give the player those tools. And in my mind, those tools are stat growth. And the ways we get those are farming is going to lead to, let's say, armor, and fishing is going to lead to health, and quests are going to lead to power. So rather than get mercenaries, these are the routes we want you to take. Yeah, it could be something like 4 fights, but still at that point it's like, do you have those tools in the game already? And I think you do. So I think we'll probably stick with that. All right, so there are a lot of little fiddly things we got to figure out about this, but I think it's mostly there. We just got to chisel it out of this block of marble. Yeah. So is this whole concept of mulching even interesting? Maybe you just start with a farm. Planting costs money. I guess this would be clear enough. So that was a 2x2 patch of land. Because this, like, you've got to get seeds. And yeah, I'm worried this is gonna, the way I designed it originally, I think it's gonna take too much explanation for the player to understand what's going on. Like we give you the farm, but then you're like, okay, how do I plant stuff? And it's like, oh, now you're finding monster parts from battles. And it's like, okay, I guess. Yeah, the monster part thing I think can come in later after you've gotten used to how the farm is, which means you'd have to just pay to buy seeds. But then this idea that I had about you buying the best seed every time doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe all you can buy are the sucky seeds. I don't think that would make sense either. All right, I got to do a little bit more kind of jotting down for this stuff. How do we make the farm as simple as possible when you first get it? I think you'd have to be able to pay for seeds. Otherwise, the farm would just unlock the ability to get monster parts, which you would then need to mulch into seeds or mulch into whatever. I don't know. I keep saying this stuff, but like, this is kind of how fishing works, though. You get a pond, but you still need to dump potions in for you to get fish. So would it be so bad if that's how farming works? Also, I think farming is something you'd probably unlock even later in the game. Yeah. Hey, wait a second. Something I never actually even considered in the game. I wonder if this is possible. I don't know why I never thought of this, but if can you start two battles against the ogre? Oh, you can. And it just happens to work out right now that there's no way for you to win both these fights. But if I turn on invincibility, what happens? I need to speed this up because it's going to take forever. Did that show once or twice? It showed once. Okay, so that happens to work. Because I was going to say the farm is going to have the same problem. We did end up getting two of these ogre bloods. But yeah, we got to make sure there's no problem with the farm. No problem with doing the farm, starting two copies of the same farm battle. Only be allowed to have one of those going at a time. I think plant for money, fight meta resource, fight. Makes sense. You can still pay for better seeds or occasionally find them as rewards elsewhere. These better seeds grow faster, yield more. Farming infinite battle seems like a later system. Yeah, well, and also because of the reward that you get, the reward is fortitude. And early in the game, I don't think you'll care too much about that because health and power will feel better to get. You'll notice those impacts more. Okay, clicking a patch of land, empty land, plants a seed there for X gold. Then the seeds take time to grow. Maybe it's a minute or two. I don't know. It doesn't need to be very long. And then once the plant is mature, a worker can come and harvest it and bring the, I'll just say the fruit. It doesn't always have to be a fruit, but bring the fruit to the silo where you'll see your numeric stockpile of food. When at the next threshold, when at the next food threshold, you can start a battle against a creature using the food you've stocked up. Winning this battle will give you some As the amount of food it takes will keep increasing. Winning this battle will grant you the fortitude granting item. I don't know what it is. Some amount of the fortitude granting item, fortitude granting item for you to use on your adventurers. Hey, Circle. The thing about crop is that it's not necessarily the harvested crop. Like if you think of blueberries or tomatoes or something, it's like there's the vine, and that's also kind of considered the crop, and then there's the actual tomato that you pull from it. Let's start a battle using the food you've stocked up. Winning this battle will give you some amount of the fortitude granting item. The amount of food it takes will keep increasing. The reward will keep increasing. All right, so then upgrades. You can upgrade the size of the farm so that you can plant more seeds. Maybe there's no reason to ever plant the tiny seeds. Like I wanted there to be some variety on the farm, which is why I liked this idea of a plant all button. But almost all of the time, like if there were 10 different kinds of seeds, like seed quality 1 was like 5 gold cost and it gave you 5 food from the thing, and seed quality 2, this just kept going up, right? So 10 gave you 11 of the food, and this was like 25 gave you, I don't know, 30 of the food, and so on and so forth. If you have 500 gold, it's just going to plant all of this one. And if you have 501 gold, it's going to plant all of seed quality 3 and then 1 of seed quality 1. Or, whoops, sorry, I wrote that wrong, but 505 gold. So I guess you're not really getting a variety there. It kind of makes me wonder if yeah, if food is visual. And no, that wouldn't make any sense. I guess your crops would have to get better. Yeah, so how do we accommodate the whole variety on your farm? Like if a tomato gives 5 food, then at some point you wouldn't want it anymore. What if foods give specific buffs? This is not a goal of the game for like 7 different reasons. So, in short, there's going to be a system for lowering difficulty. There's going to be a system for raising your stats. And there's not going to be a concept of resistances. I also want to kind of avoid battle buffs for as long as possible. No, sorry. It's just there were like 3 things combined that people have suggested in the past, and we've talked about those in the past. So I just want to say that's not what this is going to lead to. This system already has the reward figured out, by the way. It's going to be fortitude in the game. It's just a question of like, how do we get there? So yeah, how do you get seeds? How do you get, I guess, better seeds or like upgrade them? How do you upgrade the farm? Like, what do you get from battles? So these are the kinds of things I think we're trying to figure out right now. I think giving the reward at the end, that's the part that's kind of subtle. Yeah. Cool. All right, clicking and patch empty land plants a seed there. Yeah, so let's go back to the question. How do we... Is there some way to allow your farm to have a variety of plants? If there's always a best seed, then you would always be planting that. This is just for aesthetics. Is it so it looks diverse in world that we could just manage under the hood, or so players need to choose? Just so that it looks diverse in world. I just don't want people to be like, oh, I have a tomato farm now, and then they go to their, like, I don't know, watermelon farm or something like that, and they're like, oh, I like tomatoes better, or I want a variety of this stuff. And I guess a lot of games do this with ore. Like typically you find copper ore and then you find iron ore and then you find gold ore and then you find whatever, some other kind of made up ores that they have. And at any given point, you just you only care about what the newest one is. So when you're on the gold tier, it's like, well, now copper doesn't do anything for you. So you just stop caring about it. Hey, Silas, I think I'll rush. Salvage or foraging missions that are not always available to get new seeds, maybe. Yeah, I think I'd probably want to just be an upgrade. Like you pay to get them. But the thing I haven't figured out is how do we accommodate, is this even worth accommodating? Like, should you have a farm with a bunch of different things on it? So if we look at this picture that we had as a mock-up, like we have some pumpkins growing, we got some kind of root vegetables growing here, and I don't know what that is, taro or something. Like this visual appeal, I think, is more than if you just had a pumpkin farm. So is there a way we could accommodate that? Because what I want there to be is the higher level seeds you get are giving you more food from it. So ideally you're growing like bigger vegetables or bigger fruits. So it makes sense you'd always want the biggest fruit because all you're doing is feeding this to a monster. That looks like the game Stardew Valley. Yeah, it looks like Stardew Valley a little bit. A lot of people have said that about the graphics to begin with, but now we're adding a farming concept, and Stardew Valley was very heavily based on farming. I mean, there were lots of systems in that game. We know that when implementing, you buy the seed, the game decides what plant it is. Could be random. Yeah, but what I'm worried about is that players won't know that at the beginning they're only. Yeah, players won't know that like a tomato can be anywhere from like 1 to 1,000 food, and yet so can a pumpkin. Like, that probably won't be clear to people. Hey, Shoe Strikers. Maybe you. Maybe. Okay, wait. What if you always got a random seed and you had to upgrade how much each plant was worth in terms of food or output? So like we have maybe 5 crops. Let's say tomato, pumpkin, watermelon. I guess they'd all have to grow in the same season, but I don't really care about this. Carrots and something else. I don't know, blueberries. And each one of these turn into like 5 food by default. And then you can upgrade just one of them. So now this one goes up to 15 food, and you're like, oh, cool, I got blueberries. Those are worth a lot for me. That could potentially work. Why wouldn't it be clear when you buy the seed? It would say, I assume. I'm probably not making everything clear right now. So let me try to state some assumptions here that I'm making. I want plants to provide a certain amount of food when harvested. I want the next battle to cost an increasing amount of food. And I want your farm space to be able to grow as well, letting you plant more at once. So what I was thinking is, and yeah, I want there to be multiple kinds of crops. So I think what you might be picturing is that you can choose which seed you're buying, and you can always buy the best seed. And I was thinking that you'd get a random seed, or that you'd always be planting the best one. I guess I don't want there to be a best one. I don't know. Yeah, I'm very tough. Anyway, what's happening? When did we introduce farming? So we're working on game design for the last few days. And the main reason that we're tackling all this stuff is because we have some content in the game, and people have said, I want more content. I want more systems. And we have some kind of basic stuff right now. Like we have the tavern for getting more power. We have the garbage slime for another way of selling stuff. We have the enchanter for increasing things in town by casting spells. But then once you've gotten all these things, it's like, yeah, about 2 hours have passed in real life. And you're like, all right, I've experienced all the systems. So now we just need more systems, more things for you to engage with, more ways for you to increase your town's monetary throughput. So we've already talked about fishing, where you'll unlock this pond or the lake and you'll pull out fish. And then we're going to talk about farming, where you get a plot of land and you can farm and then use that to upgrade your characters as well. What about a supply demand system that requires you to farm different veggies based on the needs? So, just to be clear here, the farming, the way we have this planned right now is you plant crops. This is normal. You harvest crops. This is normal. And then you use the crops to fight a boss monster, basically, or a set of monsters. So essentially the farm is you building up food so that you can attract monsters so that you can fight them. And then when you beat those monsters, you can increase your armor buff, basically, like your permanent armor buff. I'm simplifying just for the sake of typing this out quickly. Hex trial. That's what I was thinking. I like the suggestion of random seed and you level of each plant. Yeah, I like that too. I think that could work. But what does that functionally make people do? Because let's say you did go with a system. You have 5 crops and each one is worth some amount of food by default. And maybe they're slightly different. Like a tomato might be worth 3 and a pumpkin might be worth 6. And maybe this is whatever, 5 and 2 and 2. But eventually, so now every time you buy a seed, it just randomly picks a crop and it's going to grow that. So now you can upgrade how much food each one is worth. So how would you do this as a player? If you know that there's only a 20% chance of all of these, then you'd probably spread out the upgrades, right? That's like the only strategy. Unless you could bias this somehow, in which case you might want to dump it all into blueberries or something. But if you can't bias it, yeah, you're probably just spreading these out. At which point, it's kind of not really an interesting decision. So we need to change it so it is interesting. One for grow time, one for yield, maybe something else. Yeah, maybe you do just upgrade them all at once. You're interesting. That's a very hateful box. How's it been going? I checked out the Steam reviews for Block Shop, and last I checked, there were 27. Let's see where we're at now. 30. Okay. I see the times on the reviews are going up because there were people who had like 0.1 hours at the time that they posted them. Yeah, how's it going? For those who haven't seen, Fool Blocks just released their game 2 days ago now. Yeah. Pretty happy. People spend an insane amount of time. Are you seeing a lot of activity in sort of the meta areas? So the discussions, Reddit, those sorts of things. Also, what was the target amount of time you wanted people to play the game for? Because I thought about it. I know I said in your stream, oh, I want to try it out. And I was like, okay, so now it's Monday evening. Do I try it out? And I was thinking, I've played a lot of factory games. And I know this isn't really a factory game, even though they're conveyor belts and stuff. And my brain just shuts off after like 10 minutes. In fact, last week I tried a game, what's it called? Into the Storm? Against the Storm? Yeah, Against the Storm. I played this for I think 2 minutes before uninstalling it. I was just like, I do not want any complexity in a video game that I play right now. I just can't do it. And I have an aversion to it at this point. So anyway, I did not end up buying it, but not because I don't think it's going to be a good game or something, but just because I think my brain can't handle it anymore. I saw that on r/Godot. Yeah, I think I wrote myself a note for when I market my game that I should probably post there too. Doing everything with like 6 hours. I was wrong. That's pretty cool though. I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's nice to see people playing for a while. Also, I feel bad because like Against the Storm might have been good. There was also a game, what was it? Into the Breach? I don't think it was this one. I also played this for like 5 minutes, but that's not the game I was thinking of. I don't even know how to describe this. It was some factory / tower defense game that was 3D. I don't remember the name. Last Spell, no. Darn, I'd probably remember it. Let me Tower Defense Factory Games Steam. Tower Factory Defense. What is that game called? This doesn't really matter at this point, but Tower Defense. I'm not gonna find it. It wasn't explicitly a tower defense game, and it looked really good. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Is it the Tetris one? No, man. Yeah, this is like 2 years ago probably, and I don't remember. But yeah, I installed that too, and I played it for a little bit, and I was just like, oh, I can't do complexity. And I've been looking. I think this is kind of what led to Skeleseller being as casual a game as it is. Is that I was like, sometimes I just want to boot up a game and be like, yeah, I'm making progress. There are no bad decisions. It wasn't Ministry. I played that for a little bit. I think that one was multiplayer, right? Wasn't the Perfect Tower. What do you spend your big rewards points on? Always just Amazon gift cards. I just redeemed like $29 of them. Okay, hold on. Let me look this up. I'll search my email for wish list because I think it was on my wish list at some point. Rift Breaker. All right, that did not take me nearly as long as I thought it might have to find. I'm pretty sure that was the name of this. Let me take a look. I might have described it poorly. Base building survival game with action RPG elements. Yeah, it looked kind of like tower defense. Yeah, I played this for like 10 minutes or something, and I was just like, nope, I can't do this. I'm uninstalling this. It looks kind of like Factorio. Then there are games I played for a little bit longer and just didn't like. Monster Sanctuary was one of those games. This game just baffled me. I didn't understand the reviews being as high as it was for this. I didn't find this fun after a few hours. And then I read the reviews, and apparently people hit like difficulty walls on this game. And yeah, I don't know. I think I have very much changed what I find fun in games. I shouldn't just talk about games I disliked. I did like Ember Knights. I thought that was good. This game was fun. I played this with friends. It's an action roguelike game. Roguelite game. What else did I like that I played? I mean, Stardew Valley, of course. What else was recent enough? I've been playing the finals a lot. I think the finals is really good. And I would not have expected myself to like this game. It's a first person shooter. But I think it's done pretty well. Ever played Shapes? I don't think so. No. Oh wait. No, I did play this, I'm pretty sure. But did they have a web version of this or something? How did I play this? Maybe I only saw the video and thought that I played this. Or maybe they do have a demo on itch. I don't know. Yeah, started as a web game. Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, anything with factory in the description is almost certainly something I'm not going to end up playing for very long. So I think I ditched this after like, I was like, okay, I get where this is going. I don't want to do this. Finals is fun, but too frenetic for me. What's weird about the finals, and I don't know how common this is, but it's a 3v3v3v3. So there are 4 teams of 3, and each team is on a free for all against the other teams. So part of the weird aspect of that is 3. I don't know why they chose that number, but when I play on game night, it's usually with 2 other friends, so that works out perfectly. And then that it's a free for all with 4 teams is pretty nice too. So it is nice when everyone's on voice chat and you're just hanging out anyway, and yeah, there's quite a lot of action. All right, let's close all these tabs that we have open. And let's go back to this. So you could upgrade all of these at once. If their drop chances are all the same, then it doesn't make sense to allow upgrading them individually, since the best strategy would be to spread those upgrades out. You could upgrade all of them at once. The average gamer only has 2 friends. James's joke was also good. I think the nice thing about FPSs is there's very little to explain to new players. It's usually point, gun, and shoot. And like the guns might work differently. There might be some slightly different objectives, but most of the time even that's not true. Usually it's the typical like team deathmatch or capture the flag sort of thing. Something like that. So I think that's nice. If you play FPS 1, you will probably like FPS 2 to some extent. And at least you'll have an easy time getting into it. So there's another way we could do this. We could have the seeds be random and just have some be better than others. And you change the chances that they show up. It would put some excitement into planting, I guess. So now you'd have something like this. Maybe blueberries are worth like 1 and tomatoes are worth 3. Pumpkins are worth like 15. Watermelons 50 and carrots are, I don't know, 2. And then you buff the chance so you're like, oh, watermelons are going to go up. And so instead of being like a 1% drop, you increase that. You could choose the crops. Each crop would apply to different adventures. The crop variety problem. I saw the suggestion about a character could have a favorite food, but I didn't exactly see how that fit. Only because we're talking about the food would be stockpiled so that you could summon a monster. The food wouldn't go to your adventurers, and I guess that's not necessarily like we could always change how this stuff works. I don't even know. Crop variety might not be important. You might just be like, oh, I ran a tomato farm and now I run a pumpkin farm. Marvel Rivals, boy, ranked games are awful. I don't think I've ever played the like fully ranked mode in the finals. They have like 6 different modes, and one of them is like a baby rank mode. It's not called that, but they have a rank, but you can't ever go down in rank. And then they have a ranked mode where it's like every other ranked mode. You can go down, you can go up. So I played it, yeah, the baby ranked mode. The first available build, haven't kept up with the game at all since then, but an idea of more content that I have is about expanding the battles. I don't know, it's still against one static monster always, but what about having a beam against a battlefield against multiple units moving around? The moving around is something I didn't want to do from the beginning of the game because I thought you're not controlling the battle, so movement might be tough. But yeah, early on we did do a couple of those things in the ways that you're probably thinking about. So here's an example of a battle against multiple enemies. So we're fighting 3 bats. We have added battles against bosses. Let me do that. So you have stronger enemies with different rules, and we have battles that have multiple waves in them. So here, sorry, these are slow. Let me speed this up. They might actually lose. Yeah, when they beat this, it'll say wave 2 in the middle of the screen. And now you fight a second wave of monsters. So those things are in the game now. And I like that. I think it's been expanded. And even these new systems we're talking about are going to expand this a little bit more. I kind of like the idea of there being rarer plants. Also, it might not need to be that you need too much of this, depending on how we do this. If you just increase the amount of arable land that you have, now instead of getting a 2x2 area, we may be able to go with the random seed idea and have upgrades to make the good ones show up more often. Since the farmable land is increasing, you start with 4 patches, and maybe at the end of the game you have 25 patches. Even that's only a 5x5 area. So that's not too bad. And if we were to figure out, I mean, we could figure this out, but I didn't come up with the percentages. But if we knew the drop rate of all of these things, then we can figure out what your expected value is of any seed. So the expected value of a seed may be, I don't know, 7 food, something like that. So when you have 4 patches, you're going to get 28 food per cycle. And when you have 25 patches, it's naturally going to go up to what, 175 food per planting cycle. And we could just keep that in mind. I think this will work just fine. Yeah, I kind of like this. Yeah, I played 2 games like with the real ranked modes and tried a little bit at them. StarCraft 2, I put in, I'll say like several hours, so not a ton of time. But the Smash series in general, I put tons of hours into that. And Ultimate has like a proper, they have what, global Smash power or something where you can see where you rank in terms of other people in the world. It's actually a little weird because there's how many people you were better than. So if you didn't know how many people there were who played, you didn't know how close to the top you were, or at least back when I played. And in both of these cases, my blood would just boil the whole time, whether I won, whether I lost. It's just weird playing. Well, especially Smash. Smash is a game that started without online, so to play with other people, you had to see them face to face, and I liked that. It was a lot of fun. There were ways of like evening out skill levels. You could play it as more of a party game. Then when playing Ultimate, it was like, okay, now go play against nameless, faceless people, and you're just battling for hours on end. I wanted that in-person experience again, and I just didn't seek that out. Hey, Blue Blue. And it's okay to have an unproductive day every once in a while. If it happens a lot, I think you probably need to change something else, maybe take a break or something. I do kind of like being in the top N% of players. Yeah. Yeah. I think the issue is unless you are in like the top 10, then you're going to probably win as much as you lose. Because if you just think about the total skill level of players, they're gonna put you in a spot where you're fighting people where you win about half the time. And for some people that's probably fun, and for some people it's not. And at some point, I do think you're limited in how you can get better at a game by how much time you put in. Like if you put in 5 minutes a week toward a game, you'll never become number one in the world. And some people, even if they put in 100 hours per week, they'll never become number one. But at least there's some minimum amount you need to be able to be competitive. All right, I like this idea, and I think this is at least a good thing to do. We can make all the seeds cost the same. Maybe you don't even know what you're growing at first, although that's not really super important. To get to the point where your natural skill level is, then from there, yeah, that's what I mean. Once you've hit that equilibrium point, it's usually they'll try to match you with people who are your skill level and they'll have a pretty good idea of what that is. Could have an extra step like fertilizing before planting, watering, etc. Yeah, that's true too. And I think we should probably write that down over here. Upgrades, you could maybe have fertilizing or watering upgrades to make you get more food per harvest. You can change the chances to get the good foods. Good seeds for crops. Okay, so clicking a patch of land plants a seed there for X gold. The seed is randomized between a small-ish set of crops, maybe 5 in total. The seeds take time to grow. We're going to come to harvest it to bring the output to the silo where you'll see a numeric stockpile of food, and each crop is worth a different amount of food. E.g., we'll just put something here. Pumpkin is worth 25 food. Watermelon is worth 50 food, and tomato is worth 5 food. And we'll say like, I don't know, 75% chance. This would be like a 20% chance. And this would be a 5% chance. Yeah. The chances are the chance to get this seed randomly. Add a plant all button. Shows the cost. They take a different amount of time to grow too. They probably should. Yeah. These could vary based on the plant type. Maybe crops grow faster. Maybe you can manually water planted seeds to make them grow faster. All right, so when at the next food threshold, you buy the farm, it starts a 2x2 patch of land with an NPC and a silo for food. By the next food threshold, you can start a battle using the food you've stocked up. Winning this battle will give you some amount of fortitude granting items. Amount of food it takes will keep increasing. The power of the enemies will keep increasing. And the reward will keep increasing. All right, I think we're doing pretty well. Have we answered all this stuff? Yeah, the farm is essentially an endless dungeon. I don't think we need to write that explicitly. Workers bring these monster parts. Oh yeah, maybe you can eventually get... the whole monster parts thing doesn't factor into this at all now. Now it's just money gives you seeds. And I was saying we could eventually make something that turns monster parts into seeds, but I don't know if that's interesting if the seeds don't cost that much to begin with. No, I think it's interesting. I think seeds should probably cost a lot of money. All right, I'll just write it down. Maybe we make it so that monsters can drop monster parts, which you mulch into seeds. Doesn't make sense to mulch something into seeds, does it? I guess it's like they ate those seeds. This is one of the few times that finding an item on a monster would make sense, right? Like if you were to whatever kill a slime out in the wild and it's got like a bow and arrow and an armor in it, it's like, yeah, maybe that makes sense. Maybe aid an adventurer. But if you kill a boar and it's got like a sword on it, like that doesn't make sense. But killing any of these things and having them drop seeds, that makes sense. Or maybe they just drop seeds. This would be a way for you to not have to spend a ton of money on the farm. Seeds should cost a moderate amount of money. I'm just a little worried that this is a system that people feel like they just fully ignore. Because in the end, what are we going to do with this? We're going to give you fortitude, and fortitude is a % damage reduction. And how much is enough to convince you that this is worthwhile? Like, what, 10% per adventurer? That sounds like a lot. And even then, people might just be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, we'd probably need to get it to the point where it's like 30% per adventurer. Otherwise, you're probably just not going to care. Do they have swords in them in the US? They carry them around. They're not inside the boar. Obviously, a boar is going to carry a sword around. That's why they call it sword and boar. Yeah, composting monsters or something. Do we answer all the questions up here? Some way to allow you to have a variety of plants. That's been answered. That's good. Is there some way to make the size of the farm correlate to the next battle that you're going to do? We kind of talked about this yet. How else can you get mulch? We kind of got rid of mulch. We get monster parts and clogging the warehouse. What is the progression of difficulty and rewards? How do you make the farm as simple as possible when you first get it? I think it's pretty simple now. So what have we designed? We've designed a thing that at first it just costs money, and then you do a battle and you get a reward from it. It probably doesn't feel super different from everything else in the game. This is where I wanted monster parts to come into play. I think I don't want you to be able to buy seeds. Plus, if there are two routes for getting seeds, and one is money and the other is not money, so let's say mulching or something, most people are probably going to go with this route and not spend their money on it. I guess this is one of those things where it's like if something is tedious enough, you would pay to get past it. But probably we're going to have a lot of other upgrades that you find more interesting. So I don't know if people are going to go the money route anyway, and I wonder if we should just have the mulching to begin with. Plus that way, I guess I'm not totally sold on this. The way things are designed below, you paid money to plant seeds, then your adventurers need to harvest, which doesn't take long, and then you can start the single battle afterward. Should the battle even happen at that point? Like, why not? Why don't you just get food? Honestly, I feel like we should just do that then. Maybe the battle shouldn't even happen. And we should just let you use the food for fortitude. Because back when you were customizing the parameters of the battle, it might have made sense. I'm not sure. Like, I like this as a simplification. There's no like, okay, well, we're making new battles that yeah, it's just. Okay, wait. So what we could do is we could say maybe you battle the mature crops to harvest them. Yeah, that could potentially work. Just like how you had to battle your ponds to be able to fish. I kind of like the idea that, no, I guess AoE has to matter, that you fight like up to 9 crops at a time on your farm. But even then, we'd probably have to consolidate this. It's just some like farm boss. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not totally sold on this yet, but I feel like we're getting there. We're circling something. I'll take a quick break, and then I want to come back and think about this some more. Where I left off, want to think about how to simplify this or involve while still involving other systems, like battling and stocking. Is it jump time? It's jump time. All right, BRB in a few minutes. Have fun playing. See ya. again. Close the game. I said close the game. Good. Okay, so you get this farm. You know what we could do? We could just throw this in as an image into the game. I could just take this and we save this. I guess let's save it through GIMP so I can actually put where it's going to go. Save as, oh wait, no, not save as, export as. Atom temp farm.png. Good. Then we go open that up. Farm. Put that over here. Doesn't matter where it goes. I'm going to delete it. There it is. And now we open up the town and throw that in. Yeah, we are not trying to make this look good. We are just trying to throw this in here and make it look like a system you could envision. Is that too big? I think it's a little too big. But whatever, it's good enough. Okay, so we're going to do that, save that, and then relaunch the game. Oh my God, look, there's our farm. We've already coded it. So yeah, you'll have another little thing. I guess there's going to be a path going down to here. And what would your workers do here? That would make sense. It looks good to me. I think having them show up there every so often would be annoying. I think it'd have to be something you make them do. Maybe it is harvesting them. And maybe they have to take some time to like pluck the crop from the ground. I like the idea of having adventurers harvest, but I think you'd want to do it manually most of the time. I also do like the idea of battling. It's pretty similar to the fishing mechanic. The farming pack has some worker and farming animations. Maybe it's a different NPC that does it. It could be. I think it'd be satisfying for you to click these things and like see a pumpkin pop out and then float over to your silo. And, you know, you'd click them all and you'd get bored of that. And then you'd eventually either assign an adventure or you'd have some like harvest all button. I'm not sure, but I want to figure out a way that this doesn't just feel like some tacked on extra system like it does now. The way we designed fishing was such that you bring potions to the water so that now you needed to battle to get potions. Then you needed to use your workers to bring them here. So it's like two other systems got involved. And then you needed to battle the fish to get the fish. So it was like, okay, cool. This is pretty solid. It connects with everything else. Farming would be you click to plant seeds. So I've planted all these things already. And now maybe half of them are ready to harvest. Now, how do I harvest them? Is it just clicking them? Is it battling them? Is it making an adventurer do it? Is there some other way to connect to another system here? Like a cheapo way of doing it would be just have a spell that says like farm all of your stuff. I think that would be boring. And we only really have battling and stocking anyway. I don't think connecting it to the enchanter would be good. I do think connecting it to the enchanter for raising crops could be interesting. Like your crops grow faster. I think that could be really cool. There could be an enchanter spell that unlocks only when you have the farm that makes your crops grow faster. Yeah, I like that idea. I think that's pretty cool. But that's a minor thing. What else can we say here? It really is either just battling or stalking. That's kind of it, right? Although actually, of all the things, we had the idea of bringing potions over to the lake and dumping them in. I wonder if it would make sense to have done that for farming. Like that's how you water the crops. They all take a potion. I don't think I like that because potions have different values. Hmm. What else could we do though? Yeah, I guess it'd be the concept of adventurers taking time doing this, and we're going to do that. It's going to be battling. Yeah, I guess that I don't really have many ideas. It would also cause the adventurers to take time doing this. Yeah, I think it would just be the get food and use that as your buff. And then we don't need a battle. Cooking and cook battles and the cook battles of veggies to cook meals. So if we're going to do battling, I would want you to be able to pick your battle party just like you can now. So you'd choose these three characters and you'd go battle at the farm, for example. It could be that this is like fishing, but that the crops fight back. But the crops aren't ever actually all that strong. Although maybe they are. Yeah. Maybe maybe the crops fight back. And you might lose. So the more you plant, the more adventurers you need. I kind of like it. Yeah, I kind of like it to be able to win. What if you plant too much, though? I guess the life of the plants would need to persist. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Feels Mick. I said it right before you took a break. Maybe you can defend the plants from crows or other attackers while they're growing. So I need to think of how that mechanic would fit in because people have suggested something like this in the past. Like maybe there's a thief that shows up and starts stealing items from your shop, and then like maybe you could either fight them or you just have to click them to shoo them away. With crows attacking, I guess you'd have to see that like crows are hovering over this, and then you see some like warning or something in the game signals to you, and you have to go into a battle. I think it would feel like a tax because if that battle has any difficulty, then it means you could just like lose your crops, which would feel really bad. If that battle doesn't have any difficulty, then it basically comes down to did you notice this in time and then pay that tax of like, okay, click this, go start a battle. So I can't think of how it would fit in and feel good. Can you only fight once they're fully grown then? Oh, and you're saying you could lose the battle and then they just would be gone from your farm? I think having them persist wouldn't be too bad, although then you probably want to auto battle them. I think just making them fight back doesn't make sense. Like they're plants. So I think we just make it so you can't lose. I think it just doesn't make sense for them to fight back. It'd be funny if every single character in the game could battle the crops, but when the mage did, their fireball burned them to a crisp and you just lost them all. What a fun Easter egg. How does that play in with the plants take time to grow? Oh, yeah. I was thinking you could only fight them when they're fully grown. That part is true. I thought you were saying as a mitigation for this. Yeah. So yeah, what do we gain by having you fight to harvest? It would take time to do this. What was that? My phone just rang and then immediately stopped. Even though my phone was on ring. It would take time to do this. I think that's the main thing that we gain. And it would Yeah, I think that's about it. And do we need it to take time? It already took time to grow them. I don't think this is needed. Hey, Cypher, I've been doing well. We've been shifting into game design for the last few streams. Excuse me, and I'm hoping this is the last stream that we do game design before we start tackling some of this stuff. So I'm hoping on Friday that we start coding. We've been working on new systems for Skeleseller. We came up with a fishing system that I think is pretty good. And we're trying to come up with a farming system. I just pasted in a graphic here. It looks out of place. But I pasted in a graphic here just to kind of jog my imagination a bit to see like what would we want to do here. Because right now the way this system is formulated is you'll start with a plot of land and you'll click to plant seeds. Oh wait, oh, this is where the mulching thing comes in, right? Didn't I talk about this? Yeah. Yeah, so I think this is the case, and I think we need the collection of seeds to be more interesting. Maybe you don't even mulch monster parts. Maybe you mulch the items you normally find. Or maybe they're weapons. I don't know. Does it get to pay twice, first for the seeds and then fight? Opportunity cost. I'd choose only one of these. However, if we choose to make the plants just grow on their own and we fight to harvest, it feels quite similar to fishing. Yeah, I agree with all of that. And that's why I'm thinking that we need to just make the collection of seeds more interesting. So I don't think you need to fight. I just don't think battling does anything interesting for us here. Or not battling to harvest. But I think battling for seed collection could be interesting. And maybe you... No. Yeah, it has to be based on the value of the items. If battling is going to be involved for seed collection, then the value of the items needs to come into play. Otherwise, you'll max out on seeds by battling in the first area. Alternatively, we make different locations drop different seeds. Yeah, that could work. Like each zone has a seed associated with it. So the forest, well, actually, probably none of the first zones would have any seeds. But at some point, like the waterways, because that's level 3, maybe you get there and then you start getting tomato seeds. And you beat another few locations and you start getting watermelon seeds or something like that. So you're naturally getting a bunch of seeds just by battling. But if you're naturally getting them, is it interesting? Because then there's no decision to be made, really. Not all that interesting since you battle stuff anyway. So there's no real extra decision. That's where mulching your items makes a little more sense. Since you still have to gather items, but then not sell them. No, I don't think farming is going to be the infinite dungeon. Yeah, I don't think that makes sense anymore. So I think all of this needs to be axed. Yeah. Hey, Pressel. Wish I could just code without having to think. Yeah, and the other thing too is it's like game design is what you need to do before your actual code design or your feature design or system design or anything like that, and then you get to the coding. So this is like you just need to figure out what you're even making, and yeah, we don't know that yet. It matters what you plant and where. The choice of what seed to collect would impact what dungeon you go fight in. Yeah, that is possible, but the way I was thinking about it, at least for right now, is that there's like a best seed at any given time. So like watermelon would just give you more food than tomatoes would give you. So it's like if you ever have the chance to get watermelon seeds, you'd want those. And it could be that the later areas just give you more of this seed. Actually, I guess the collection of seeds or the rest of the farming cycle to be more interesting? So how bad would it be if next to your farm you had something like a little machine and it took in weapons and spit out seeds? I don't know how it would do that, but what if that happened? It makes me think we reform the fish thing. So you're dropping weapons in the lake, you're equipping the fish with weapons, and they fight you back. But over here, you drop potions in and it causes your plants to grow. I feel like the potions making plants grow makes more sense. But I don't want potions to be used for all of the extra stuff, which is why I wanted to pick another system for this. Train the fish to fight the plants. Works out perfectly. Real food fight going on. Crafting system comes into play here to get better seeds. Yeah, but how would that look? Because I think if you had to combine, specific items, then you'll always be doing battle in those specific places. I guess we could keep upping it. So it could be something like the starter cloak and a yellow potion form tomato seeds. And then eventually you get to the point where you're like, okay, now the demon helm and the big life potion form watermelon seeds. I don't think I want to do that still. It's like a quest in that you need to bring a bunch of items here to get the seeds out of it. Give seeds or plants armor to protect them from birds. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Let me think about this. So you still have like an armor station here that would dump these onto the... I think thematically it wouldn't make a lot of sense. You'd have to have some like adventurers stationed over here that would get that armor. Or some like magic farmer who takes in the armor and casts a protection spell on your farm. I guess we could just say that you're mulching this into fertilizer. You're mulching your items into fertilizer. And without that, your plants won't grow. What do you get from gathering food? So the farming system is what will lead to permanent fortitude buffs. And fortitude reduces incoming damage by a percentage. So you're farming to get food, and then you're feeding a specific adventurer and giving them the fortitude buff. So what if you're mulching items into fertilizer? And that's what lets your plants grow? Then as you progress... No. If that's the case, then you'll eventually get strong enough items where you've fertilized everything. Maybe that's what lets it grow faster. That's not really interesting though, is it? Are you trading that gear to a seed merchant for seeds, or are watermelon seeds in this universe made of a ground up potion helmet? Yeah, so I haven't answered the lore reason because I haven't figured out the functional system yet. If we can figure out the functional system, we can usually come up with a way to make it make sense, even if it's magic. But I don't know what the system is yet that's giving you seeds or that's allowing these to grow. Yeah, you mulch them for magic dust. Yeah, something like that. And I'm not totally sold on this yet either. There's some other thing we can consider here. I mean, this could be where, like, you could collect monsters from battle, and they could... I don't know. I was gonna say you could raise them or something. I don't really think it's worth even finishing that thought. What do I want to do? Well, what are we even trying to accomplish here? We're trying to get it to the point where it's interesting to get the seeds, or it's interesting to get the fertilizer, or some part of the farming cycle connects to another system. Needs to connect to another system in a way that isn't just buy seeds for money. Yeah, let me put this over here, by the way. So what other systems did we write out here? Because we have all the systems. There's like the... Where are they? I could have sworn I wrote them all out somewhere. There they are. Systems we currently have. Battling, selling stuff, quests, enchanter, town hall, explorer, garbage slime. You need to keep the mulcher running for the plants to grow, depending on which item its value you throw in, raises how long it can run for. Yeah, it is possible that we do something like this, either mulching items for seeds or for fertilizer. Or I was gonna say you could smelt a bunch of weapons down and water your plants with that sludge of weapons, and then instead of growing food, it just grows weapons. Or these could be armor plants. That could be why you're feeding them armor. Could be that you're not growing food. You're growing armors. So you mulch armors to make armor seeds. And then these are equipable. Let me look at the systems that we had written up here, though. The Fortitude Daisy. Yeah, armor flowers. Armor fruits. Has a connection for bone meal for fertilizer and our Skell hero been mentioned? No, I don't think so. Also, hey, Ocleus. All right, so in my mind, battling is out here. I don't want to do that. The selling stuff route. What if we had a barter system? Customers will give seeds only when you bring the item they desire. That's an existing system. I don't think it's very interesting. It would make people get more customers in their town so that they have more customers desiring a specific item. It's kind of a tenuous connection. Why are they giving you seeds? Oh, you know what we could do? If we want endless battles to factor in, we could make it so that the farm allows for fighting old bosses and bosses grant seeds and nothing else. It's interesting. Well, maybe not, and nothing else. Just and bosses grant seeds. There are some things that are appealing about that, but not many. What do the crops you grow give you? Trying to catch up. They give you fortitude, permanent fortitude for a specific adventurer. So maybe the early on rewards give you like +5 fortitude, or maybe the later ones give you like +15 or something. And then I think 500 fortitude is equal to 100% damage reduction. So we got to limit how much of this we can give you. A merchant in town that can trade supplies or gear or money. So I need to think about what this does for you as a player. If there's a trader and they only show up every so often, then it means that you need to be paying attention to the game to see when they show up. And then you need to have a stockpile of enough items to give them. It's probably better in that case to just allow you to do this at almost any time so that you don't need to be paying attention to the game, and so you don't need to just have stockpiled all your items for kind of no reason. All right, what sounds the most interesting of this stuff? Yeah, something to take items and grant your meta currency that you have. I think there's got to be something else there that we can come up with. Should crafting factor into this at all? No, I don't think so. Thinking I would just try it out for a few minutes, ended up beating the whole demo. Nice, spooky whoop. Thanks for trying it. Yeah, I've been hearing that more and more. I think we've finally gotten it to a point where you're not fighting the game so much, because it used to be that there were a lot of little issues with even just trying to play. Can you sell the food too? It granting fortitude only seems overly specific. Well, the reason why we're doing it that way is because fishing is how you'll get health, quests are how you'll get power. Or wait, did we say that? Didn't we say something has to give skill points? What did we say gives skill points? What did we say? We talked about this the other day, and I don't even remember what we talked about. Where is this? I don't remember what we concluded from any of this. What in the world? It's not written down. Where is it? Oh, wait. There it was. Change the skill point. That's right here. There are rare drops from pretty much any location, although the drop rate should change based on the location. We expect you to get a new skill point once every 10 to 15 minutes. Later instances can drop higher quality skill gems. Yeah. I forgot about that. I don't think this is fully fleshed out either. Is it interesting if there's, oh yeah, one specific seed tier per seed per tier fortitude buff. Each adventurer needs to eat one strawberry, one apple, then one watermelon. I didn't think about that. Essentially like a crafting system with the food that you get. I guess it depends on how you're acquiring seeds. If they are purely random and you're like bottlenecked on watermelons, then it's probably just, did you get a watermelon? And then you would need some other way to use food, because you'd end up with an imbalance of your resources. Or farmer's merchant that sells different seeds and fertilizers, yield more food or faster growth based on the area you got to. The goal with food, like I said, this is the one thing that's pretty much like set in stone. The goal of food is for fortitude buffs, and they're permanent. And the reason I say it's set in stone is because the way we wanted to do this, and I'd started to type this out and then got confused about how we got skill points working. But yeah, we want farming to give you fortitude, and then we wanted rare drops to give you skill points. So we do not have experience in the game, and we only have these 4 stats. I mean, the skill point isn't really a stat, but yeah, we only have those 4 things. We have health, power, fortitude, and then how many skill points you have. So rare drops are going to give you this. So you get some skill points through the drops you get in battle. Power is going to come from the tavern from doing quests. So instead of saying this gives you plus 10 health and plus 1 power, it's going to give you some like power intermediate resource. You'll accept it. You'll give it to your adventurers. Fishing will give you health, and yeah, farming will give you fortitude. Farmer to give you fortitude fruit, and each increase in the adventurers would require an increasing amount of those. That's essentially what I was thinking too, although I was just calling it food. So it doesn't necessarily need to be. Yeah, it's something that's going to turn into fortitude. But I was thinking pretty much the same thing and just calling it food. What else? What else? Yeah, I think the thing I'm leaning toward the most right now is some kind of item composting. That way, this is at least connected to another system. It could be a standalone system, but that doesn't strike me as very interesting. Like you pay for seeds, you plant them, they eventually grow into the food, you use the food, you're done. That is certainly one way of doing this. But I think speeding that up somehow through some other action would be good. Right now, you pay for seeds, plant them, wait, then harvest, and get the fortitude buff. That works, but it's not really connected, and there's no clear way to speed it up. And it could just be the speeding it up that you need to do. I mean, we could just say adventurers are like tending to the plant. I mean, if anything, yeah. I think we've done fishing slightly backwards. I think dumping potions onto your farm makes the most sense for how to speed up growth of the plants. Then fishing needs some change to it for you to get more fish since it uses that system. So yeah, you get seeds, you plant them, you start pouring potions on them to water it. Yeah. Swap the armor to fishing. Maybe maybe that's what we do. Maybe farming gives food. Food can be used for fortitude or to increase the fishing population, the fish population. That might work. And that makes the two systems feed into each other now. And we change it so that problem is fish are also just a food for you in the end. At least the way we've done this here. But I think this could potentially work. Food would probably be used for health at that point. Then we need some reason for why fish give you fortitude. I mean, I guess they could give you health either way. It's just why does one food give you one kind of stat and another food gives you another kind of stat? I still like the idea of fishing. I like the battling thing. I like the idea of some like item going into the pond. And I think food makes the most sense. Although what you're growing on your farm needs to probably change because fish wouldn't want pumpkins and stuff. I mean, you could change it so that you got like cows and you're feeding them potions. Probably would be very silly. You get magic fish scales. They give the fortitude. Yeah, maybe it is the fish scales. Yeah, it's just their scales. Yeah, these two things are as close as what I can think to actually kind of making this stuff work. You need to be able to get farming before you get fishing. And we could clearly gate that by just saying like you can't even get the fish pond until you have the farm. Yeah. Is this good? Consider making the crops not work past a certain point or be probabilistic to increase fortitude. So the way I was thinking is this is going to be how all these stat increases work is they're going to take like X of a resource and X will increase as you build up an adventurer. And that this is important for all of these stats. So for example, a skill point, your first skill point may cost like one rare drop. Maybe your second one costs two, maybe it's just always N, where N is your level. I don't know. But that way you don't just like put all the stats into one adventurer. You might put a lot into one adventurer, but you'll have some limits and it'll be just costly to do that. And I like that idea. This is what it's going to allow players to customize their characters. The only thing I'm not sold on, I think, is well, for one, I haven't like done a virtual run through of what is this system, but two, I don't know how food is getting from your farm into your pond. Why do fish want fruits and vegetables? Yeah, so I haven't answered that stuff. I guess let's list this here. So how does food get from your farm into the pond? Why do fish even want what you're growing? I mean, maybe they're not fish. Maybe they're not fish. There's something else. Or they're just fish that like fruits. Do fish eat vegetables? I guess they eat like kelp and stuff, right? But fish don't have access to traditional human vegetables, right? Look at this. What vegetables can they eat? Is this going to actually answer my question? Broccoli, peas, squash, various types of lettuce. Okay. Do they eat fruits? Why is this a link? What fruits can fish eat? I didn't know this at all. Apple, grapes, and banana. Strawberries, oranges, raspberries, watermelons. Man, this is like everything I was talking about. The problem is, I don't think this is common knowledge. So I think it's going to seem weird to people. Does every adventurer have their own level? We're probably deleting the concept of levels. So right now, no, every adventurer has the same level. So here you see rank 1. All of them are rank 1. And if I were to level them up, they all go up. So now they're all rank 7, for example. I I cheated to give 6 ranks at once. But yeah, they all level up at the same time. We're probably deleting that concept completely. So rank will just be gone and everyone will have their own stats. Or maybe rank will be like a formula based on the stats. So if you're above 200 total stats, you're considered level 2. Something like that. I don't know. Hey, Trackley. Okay, so yeah, fish can apparently fish do eat veggies and fruits. So I guess we don't have to answer this question, but I don't think it's common knowledge. Maybe it is common knowledge. I wonder, I always, it'd be cool if you could do this, but yeah, I always wonder if you asked 100 people any question, like, do fish eat fruits and veggies? And then tallied up their answers, how many people would say yes? And my hunch is that it would not be the majority who say yes. Yeah. And the reason this is important is because even if something is factual, if enough people don't know it, then you are potentially harming the consumption of whatever media you're making. And that the simplest form of this is in a lot of TV shows, and movies, if there's ever a term or a word, and like artificial intelligence is a good example. Not everyone knows what artificial intelligence is. Maybe nowadays it's more common, but a lot of times they're talking about it in a TV show, like, oh yeah, that guy's working on artificial intelligence, and the other character will be like, artificial intelligence, isn't that where machines learn how to think for themselves? And they'll be like, yeah, of course it is. But it's like, okay, there. Now as an audience member, you have an in-world explanation of what this thing is, and they didn't need to like look at the camera and be like, you there, dummy, you here's what artificial intelligence is. So we're not going to do that in this game. We're not going to be like, oh, by the way, in real life, fish do eat this stuff. Hey, Karada. Didn't know limiting stats based on level was a possibility, so people don't overpower one adventure. But if you're doing away with that, oh, we'll have something similar, I think. So, like, based on how many bosses you beat, maybe we'll have a limit to how much you can get. Maybe we need to link that to a level. Like, we keep level in the game and we just say what your limit is. That might, excuse me, that might work. Alternatively, keep levels as a way of making it clear what the maximums are at any given point, since they're probably going to be based on beating bosses anyway. M2, a fun facts battle in the UI, and it's literally just one. Fish can eat grapes, apples, bananas. You're like, okay, I don't really care. I get it. All right, so I guess we still have this question that we need to answer. How does food get from your farm into the pond? And how did we even say that that worked? I wrote this down somewhere, right? Fishing. Where's fishing? I didn't write it down? What? I guess I didn't consolidate it in this list. But I have an idea for what it's going to be anyway. Is it written down here? Yeah, the sketch so far. We still got to make this more concrete. Yeah. Fishing system, see here. Here it is. Also having a different set ratio for the stats of each adventure based on class. Having a mage, you can make a tank. Might make classes seem moot. Yeah, I think multipliers would probably have to be a thing on fortitude, but otherwise may not need to be a thing. It's hard to say. Did I write that somewhere though? Multiplier. I thought I had. Ah, yeah, here it is. Maybe different classes have different multipliers. I'll write that down. Maybe different classes have different multipliers for stats. They still fill the same general roles. You mentioned a switch in the pond that activated workers dropping stuff there. It could be the same, I guess. Yeah, I just don't have, I guess they'd be carrying food over there from your silo. Or maybe it would just look like a bundle of something like this. They just pick this up above their head and it always looks like carrots, even though it's not really carrots. Or this is a little more generic looking, maybe. Or they just carry a house plant above their head. Yeah, I think that could work. Okay. Let me think about that a little bit more, though. So where did that question go? Oh, yeah. So we could have workers carry a bundle of carrots, carry an object, e.g. a bundle of carrots, which represents some amount of food. Although I think we need to look at what that fishing sketch contains still. Let's go see. Fish and stat upgrades. I think we just keep track of scales. Yeah, fish are converted into scales, I guess. Power fragments are a meta currency. The more you upgrade an adventure, the more fish it will cost to upgrade. UI, so tells you fishing. Upgrade the pond by spending money. Dumping potions repopulates the fish. Yeah, so this would be food repopulates the fish. Whatever fish you get depends on the gold value of potions dropped in. All right. This makes me kind of rethink my questions a little bit. Do we want this to have a physical representation? Or would it be better to just click the pond and get to the maximum number of fish? And what was the other thing? Oh yeah. Does the potion to farming correlation or relation, I guess, relationship makes sense when it comes to getting food to feed to fish? And is it good to overload food and have two functions for it? So much to think about. Or everything, including the crate and bot. I mean, we would do that. I'm not sold on this yet. I guess part of the problem here is if food is used to increase your stat, if it's used to increase one stat, so health in this case, you can also funnel it through another system to increase your other stat. I don't like that. The way it's written above, food increases health. Or you could run it through another system entirely and have it give you fortitude. I don't think that trade-off is going to be clear to players. Yeah, I don't think I like that. Okay, well, what about this though? What if we basically forked it at the wrong point, I think. So we have potions getting turned into seeds, I guess, which turn into food. And then from here, you have food can turn into fortitude or something, it doesn't matter what. Or it can turn into fish food, which then goes through the battle, which then turns into health. So it's like we put the fork here at food. I wonder if we did it earlier. What if we had potions turn into some like meta currency, which either then feeds the farming system, which gives you fortitude, I guess, or which feeds the fishing system, which gives you health. Like you are making a magical slurry with your potions, and either you use it to water your plants or you use it to repopulate fish. What about it don't you like? The decision over here? I just don't think it's going to be clear to players like, oh, hey, food I know gives me buffs, but here it can just give me a direct one, and here I have to run it through another system first to give me that buff. I don't think it's going to be super clear there. Hey, 3D Extended. Welcome back. Thanks for the resub. Yeah, growth serum. Yeah, growth serum. By the way, Potato asked, "How did I do this?" The moving lines around for me is Alt up or Alt down, and the actual arrows themselves, like this notation turning into this, is coming from a spanso. So this is just a VS Code thing, and this is a spanso. And this is what I use for everything. So like if you see me type out flower and press space and it does that face, or like rage and it types out that, or backtick T and it types out technology, that's all also a spanso. They're just what are called hot strings and auto hotkey. It's just text expansions in the spanso. And that way anything that's long to type, I don't have to spend long typing it. Hey Zaclips. All right. I like the forking earlier idea. Only thing is, why potions only? Are we going to do something else with the other items? I don't think so, but maybe we could. Yeah, why potions only, I guess is a good question. Why are we only mulching potions? I guess we could just make it so potions are more common from everything. My reason for me picking them originally is that they're liquids. So it makes sense for them to turn into some kind of fertilizer or some kind of yeah, I guess growth serum or fish attractant. I don't know. Whereas weapons and armors, it doesn't really make sense how those could help food or fish. But I guess we don't really need to answer that question. We could just have a single mulcher thing that produces, I don't even know what, because, yeah, I don't know what it would do. I guess that's where the disenchanter could come in, and it could just be that you get magic powder from your items. Limit the system a little bit so it doesn't break the game. I think you can put in the limits in other ways if you wanted to. So if you consider potions to be exactly 33% of the items that drop, and that's what your limit is, and then you open it up to all items, so now that's obviously 100% of the items that can drop, then you could just apply a 1/3 multiplier on the output. And there, now you have the same effective limit. I mean, not exactly in Skeleseller, but yeah, like I said, you can limit it in other ways. I guess we would probably need another system somewhere that lets you. Well, maybe what we do is make it so armors and weapons can stack, but potions can't. So potions have to go through. No, that doesn't make any sense. I guess I'll just write thematic reasons. However, this may cause an imbalance in your shops. Is it a problem if it does, though? So what if your potion shop is empty? Hmm, not sure. Yeah, so I don't like this. I think we would want potions to convert into some resource that could either be used for farming or fishing. Increase decision making in the player for what they want to use potions for could be a good thing. Well, so that's true, and I agree with that. So a potion could either be sold or it could be uh, converted into whatever we're calling it, growth serum or something like that. So there is a decision point there. But why is it just potions? You'd get this same decision making if you applied it to all items. You could say you could sell them, sell or convert into, yeah. And like I said, it was thematic reasons why we chose potions. Originally, we were talking about dumping them in the lake, which is still funny to me. We're talking about dumping them in the lake and then, using them to like water your crops. But how would an armor make sense to fulfill that same need? Like you get this demon helmet thing and you dump it in the lake. Like what does that do? It just sinks to the bottom. Yeah, I don't know. Do we ever discuss opening shops to sell anything as a perk or something? Could make sense here. We had talked about it a while ago. Yeah, and I guess we could make that. We could even make it just for the potion shop. Like the potion shop can sell everything. To mitigate that imbalance, we could eventually let any shop sell anything. Or maybe just let the potion shop sell anything. You get something from it when giving it items. That's true. Although you probably wouldn't be able to see it in the lake. We could also have some kind of like transmutation slime next to it where you feed it any items and out of it is fish food. Is some kind of a textural choice. This makes potions feel different from other kinds of items. Should all items be interchangeable in all cases? No, I don't think so. I think it's okay to just have potions be the thing here. Yeah. And I like that reason for this. Like, it's okay to just have something that feels a little bit different. Make it filled with non-potions and then you can't sell those. If it's all of them, it's more balanced. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, but it depends on how much you need potions for this other stuff. If you end up using them all the time for other stuff anyway, then the potion shop would pretty much just be empty. Could also be a switch that you enable where it's like, if you have potions, it's going to stock it to that shop. Yeah, it could be something where we automatically balance this. If you have 10 potions, then they'll all go to the potion shop and not armors going there. Or it tries filling like the dedicated shops first or something. I'm not sure. All right, so what have we decided then? Let's look at this from the beginning. You buy the farm, you start with some land, you start with a silo for food. There's a planting cycle. Click an empty patch to plant a seed there. The seed is random. It takes a amount of time to grow. When it's done, a worker can harvest it. Each crop is worth a different amount of food. You could also harvest it just by clicking and dragging. But I guess you couldn't right click to drop the item. No, you could also harvest it just by clicking. It would fly into the silo. Yeah. Each crop is worth a different amount of food. Okay, cool. The battling stuff is all gone. This is probably gone for now. Upgrades. Sure. Hey, Eki. Hey, Paj. New Twitch logo? Yeah. I figured I might as well lean into Skeleseller stuff. We're going to be doing it for a lot longer. Okay, so the new stuff that we talked about here is that there is some concept. This is not that concept. There's some concept of like a potion slurry that you get. There's a, what do we even call it? I don't know. I'm just going to say a potion machine for now. That has, call it potion machine, name TBD. There's a switch next to this that you can click when on. Workers will bring potions here rather than to the shops. Potions get converted into a meta currency, e.g. growth serum. And then the meta currency is used for both fishing and farming. Still not sure how yet. Okay, so what is growth serum? Or what is this potion slurry used for when it comes to farming? Is it for seeds? Is it for fertilizer? I'd love for it to turn into seeds somehow. Like basically whatever it would turn into the fuel for your two systems that you have here. Like the idea of it being the fuel for farming or fishing. What's the problem with that though? I'm not sure. Man, so much to decide. Okay, so for those just kind of tuning in now, because sorry, I was lost deep in thought. We're still trying to plan some new systems for Skeleseller, and we talked about fishing, and how we originally planned fishing was that you'd have some kind of switch over here, which when you click, it would make it so that any potions you find in town would just automatically be brought over to the lake, and then the potions would be dumped into the lake, which would stimulate fish production somehow, and then you would eventually go into a battle against your lake, and you would start a battle and it would fight. Like I said, you'd see a lake on the right side and you'd be shooting arrows and stuff into it. And as you do, fish would pop out and you would get their scales. And you'd use the scales to upgrade your stats. So in short, it was turn potions into fish, fight the fish to get stats. So this was like another permanent upgrade system. That's still in flux. But then we talked about farming a little bit. In farming, I think we're gonna have that same general concept of like you're bringing potions to a machine that's going to turn into like a fertilizer almost, and that's what's going to allow these crops to grow. And when you click them to harvest them, you'll get food, and the food can turn into stats as well. So you'll eventually have some way of modifying your stats here, and it'll say health 390 and like requires 40 food to upgrade. Click it, and now it's 400. So something like that. Like that 1/9 font, is that new? Where are you seeing that? Oh, this? No, that's not new. It might have been different from when you played the game, though. We made all the fonts consistent in the game. So now there are only two fonts in the game. There's the handwritten one that you see here. And then there's the other one that you see everywhere else. Well, I guess this is the handwritten one, too. I think the handwritten one shows in battles as well. Probably other places. Yeah. This machine dumps magic essence into the farm in the pond. Well, what I'm thinking of is the farm has two different means of potentially being able to fuel it. One is seeds to just allow you to even grow anything, and the other is fertilizer to make them grow faster. So if, like right now, the way that we have it set up is seeds are just something you purchase. It also isn't clear where you're purchasing them from. And I kind of want there to be a different way to get seeds. Like the potion thing makes more sense as a fertilizer. Potion slurry makes more sense as a fertilizer. The risk, though, is that people don't care that their crops are going to take 10 minutes to grow. So they just wait and never use this fertilizer. I think we need to change how we get seeds. Clear how you purchase buildings. I don't think it's super important. That's true. It isn't. But I don't know about the idea of purchasing seeds. Don't know if I like that you spend money for them. But maybe that's okay. At least as a starting point. What's the problem you're trying to solve with the scales and potion mechanics? Also, I like scales improving your stats permanently. Yeah. So the problem we're trying to solve, I always like looking at game design in terms of problems, and typically it's something like, it's not clear how to level up. So then you're like, okay, let's add in a tip system where they give you little tips about here's how you level up, or let's add experience points or something. Here, the problem that we're solving is people want more game. They play for like 2 hours. They have fun. They say they're looking forward to the launch, but they don't want to do the same stuff for another like 5 hours. And this is interesting because in my mind, what this is pretty much saying is like, design another game to go on top of this one. And a lot of games have this kind of concept of there's the core game mechanics and there's the core gameplay loop. But then you build content on top of it that's different. So if you picture like an old Zelda game, it was like the core mechanics are you've got your sword, you've got running, you got some items and stuff. And then the content is you have more dungeons, more puzzles, and more items with which you can interact. But in terms of systems, you've pretty much seen all the systems from like kind of the beginning of the game almost. With Skeleseller, I think expanding the town is important. And we have some buildings, but yeah, I think having more would be a good thing. And people have looked at like they're like, there's water there. Pies especially was like, there's water there. There better be fishing in this game. So yeah, I think the fishing system makes sense. I think the farming system makes sense. So now if it's just how do we make more game, it's also how do these new systems interact with old ones? And I think that becomes the key question. And how we did this, so fishing, for example, is like you collect potions to grow the fish population, then you battle the fish to get an item, and then you improve your stats. In my mind, this is a great way to combine everything else that's in the game. We already have battling to get items, and now you'll have a different use for the potions. Then we already had the battling system to choose where adventurers go and what they do, and people will understand this already, and there'll just be a new node on the map. And then the stats already mattered, so now there's a way to upgrade them. So it's like, in my mind, great. This is awesome. There's some little questions to answer. So kind of the same thing with farming. Here it was like, we're going to do the same, like you collect potions to, I guess, fertilizer crops. I'm not totally sure. And then you harvest the food and you improve your stats. This doesn't touch on the other systems as much. There's no real battling involved except to get the potions in the first place. And there's no real use of workers here except maybe to harvest the food. So I'm less sold on this one, but I've been talking about this for a while now and I haven't come up with something better. So I did not charge the seeds, like they were just there and you use them. Yeah, that could be done. A game within a game. What if we went 2 games deep? Need a powerful kick. Where did I write the thing about? Oh yeah, this. It could just be that they're free. In that case, though, I don't even know if planting should be necessary. Oh, sorry about that. I somehow muted myself. My bad. You can hear me again, right? I have 2 shortcuts that mute my mic, but I don't know how I pressed either one of them because they're not easy to accidentally press. I got hit with like a 3-minute ad there. Won't ask you to repeat. Then you muted yourself and I thought I was going nuts. Let me schedule another ad so I don't have to talk to you anymore. Eki, I'll explain very quickly. So the problem we're trying to solve is that people played the game and they just wanted more of the game. And I don't think we can just stretch out the content we have and have it be fun. So I think we need to introduce new systems. So we're essentially adding new systems so that there's more stuff to do in the game, which is, I think, a fun problem to solve, but it's hard to make them connect to other systems. So that's a short answer. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Hey, Chippy. So what does this mean, though? This means that there needs to be some way for you to apply the fertilizer. How do you apply it? I guess they could, I guess workers could carry something like this, one of these little items, and just dump it onto the patch of land. So then what is the scaling cost of this? It's the food that scales. So we got to keep your fertilizer in check. How many potions you get? How will all of this scale? So if a 5 gold potion gives you 1 slurry, we got to call this something. I don't know what we're calling it. 1 unit of slurry. Then what does a 50 gold potion give? And how much of the slurry do you need for farming and fishing? Like, do we invalidate this whole system by just, oh, well, too bad, we're giving you 500 gold potions and now you hardly need to interact with this? Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe you need stronger fertilizer at some point, although that doesn't really make sense the way we manifested this. I think we just need to be careful about how we do this. Yeah. By the time you unlock these systems, you'll already be getting potions worth 15 gold anyway. If by the end of the game, potions are giving 500 gold, still want this system to be important. I said it was going to be based on the gold cost of the potion, but maybe there's something more to it than that. Like, there are a lot of ways to frame this. One could be that there's a chance to get the thing that you want, and the higher the value of the item, the larger the chance is. It's essentially the same sort of thing, though. I think we just need to make you require more fertilizer somehow, or more slurry. I think the best way is just to make you require more of this slurry. But how do we do that? If fertilizing 1 piece of land costs you X, then the only way to make you require more is that you just need more land farmed, which is true as the game goes on, but that scales linearly. Actually, it doesn't have to scale linearly. Maybe that's how that works then. Just that the farm scales to be bigger and bigger. 2x2 farm has 4 total plots of, or like plots for crops, I guess. A 3x3 farm has 9, but doesn't take a ton of screen space. And I mean, it is going up by perfect squares if we just keep it a square farm, obviously. So like 4 would go to 16 and 5 would go to 25. And at any given point, we're adding enough extra where maybe that justifies the difference here. And then we just say you need a lot more food. I think that could work. As you expand the farm, you need more. As you upgrade adventures, you need more. So I don't think it's as much of a problem. Yeah, it could be fine. And then with fishing, it's probably even easier since we don't have the concept of, oh, it's probably pretty much the same. Okay, yeah. Oh, we're probably okay then. All right, so let's write out the new universe we just made here. You buy the farm. It starts out with a tiny patch of land, an NPC, just for explanation, for explaining how this stuff works, and a silo for food. The planting cycle. I don't know if you even need to click a patch of land to plant seeds. I'm not sure if it makes sense. Fertilize. You know what we could do? Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Let me think about this. I like the idea that you don't just always have seeds. Because one of the things I'm thinking about is, let's say you had like a million potions and you have all of the fertilizer you ever need. So what's going to happen? You're going to fertilize, where'd the crops go? Here. You're going to fertilize the crops. They're going to immediately grow to their like full size, and you click them and you get all your pumpkins, and then seeds are just going to replace them immediately. So what if the seeds dropped from, no, they can't drop from battles because we run into the same problem. They can't drop from battles because then you'll always go back to the very first battle area. So they need to be based on where you're fighting. That's why I needed this intermediate route. Yeah, I guess the seeds would just need to be there. Or there could just be like a seed machine and it produces a seed every once in a while. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's not bad. Maybe you do pay it first, and then you get the seed machine. Seed machine that produces seeds every so often. And you can upgrade the machine with money. Okay, that could work. And it just spits out seeds onto whatever empty plot of land. And if you ever want to speed it up too, you could always just spend the money. You can still always plant a seed by spending money. All parts of farming. Yeah. Allowing a small amount of stock. Also, the seed idea sounds good to me. Yeah, I think this can work. I think I like this. I like the idea of getting a seed maker and then you eventually automating this. And that way too, that means that if you do just ignore this and you're like, I want to spend the money elsewhere, this seed machine will eventually populate the whole farm with just seeds. They won't be growing. And then you need to fertilize it using the potion machine. All right. That's good. But now this is mostly tied to the money system. At least farming is. I guess fishing is tied to battling. Well, I say mostly tied to the money system. It's also tied to battling and getting potions and dumping them into your potion slurry machine. All right. Yeah. Oh. So here's what I think we have to do. I think we got to write down everything I just talked about. And then we need to go through all the ideas that we've talked about so far and make them as solid as possible. Probably spend another 3 hours doing that. So let's start by writing down the ideas. That should be pretty fast. So planting cycle, clicking a patch of empty land, plants a seed there for X gold. The seed is randomized. The seed takes time to grow. That's not true anymore. Seed is randomized. That part's fine. I like that. Gives you another point to upgrade. Once a plant is mature, that's not even true. That's not how this works. You fertilize the plant with the potion slurry that you get from the, I'm just going to call it potion machine. This is a machine that you can toggle on or off. When on, workers will automatically bring potions here instead of to the shop. The machine will turn the potions into some kind of slurry. We still have to name the machine and theme the slurry, because otherwise I think this does not sound great. And the slurry is used for farming and fishing. Cool. All right, click an empty patch of land, plant a seed. Seed is randomized. You fertilize it with a potion slurry. Once a plant is mature, this causes the plant to mature very quickly, maybe like 2 to 5 seconds, maybe even instantaneously. Mature plants can be harvested by clicking them. I don't know about workers going to harvest them because I don't want all of your workers flocking to one plant to harvest it and they all have to walk away. Maybe workers can also harvest. We probably need them to have a low chance to do that. Either way, harvested plants fly into the silo and you see your numeric food value go up. Each crop is worth a different amount of food. Great. The battling thing doesn't exist. This doesn't exist. All right, upgrades. This is not a thing. You can upgrade the size of the farm. That's important. Yep. You could maybe have fertilizing and watering. Nope. You can charge for chances. Change the chances to get the good seeds for crops. Add a plant all button. Crops grow faster. Could be an enchanter spell that makes your crops grow faster. I don't think we need that. All right, so the big one was add a seed machine that will automatically produce seeds for free. Allow upgrades to the machine to produce seeds more quickly. I think that's the only upgrade we need. Yeah, I think so. All right, then the only other thing we haven't talked about is food. Use food to permanently buff. I guess we said health in this case. Adventurers need more food as their health buff increases. Yeah, that's it. And maybe we allow for upgrading this silo to increase the maximum amount of food. Yeah. Anything we haven't talked about? Hey, Godzilla. I guess I'll just write a note here, scaling. As mentioned above, food costs will increase as you play and use food. Also, your farm will get larger, which means you'll need more fertilizer. We said that this is fertilizer, right? Yeah. That way, potion machine will essentially scale well into the late game, even when potions are worth a lot more money. Is the game finally done? No, we're still very far from it. We've been doing game design for Skeleseller still, and we've come up with, I'd say, 2 big systems, fishing and farming. And there's another system I want to plan out more in the afternoon, the Mimic. The Mimic was an idea where it's just like a walking treasure chest in your town that spits out items every once in a while, wherever it's standing. So the chest might be walking around like over here, and it might just spit a potion out, and like the potion needs to go way over here. So there's some concept of it being sort of, I don't know. I was gonna say tedious, but I guess that sounds bad. In which case, maybe we don't have to just walk around in random spots. But it's a way of you just getting random items. I like that idea. But that's a smaller system. So we combine everything into this now. I think this is good. The scaling we mentioned. That's good. Oh yeah, why are we only mulching potions? I think mostly thematic reasons. Where did we write that down? We're only converting potions for thematic reasons since they're already liquids. Also, it's okay to have multiple uses for only one kind of item. It's another decision-making point. We could eventually come up with a system for using weapons and armors. Like maybe you're equipping, I don't know. I still am not sold on any of that stuff, but we could come up with something. And we just haven't yet. Yeah. So um there was something else that came up as I was just talking about this. Oh yeah, that's right. So the farm, I guess, gives you this potion machine, but what if you build the fishing pond first? I guess it would also have to give you this potion machine. Maybe just whichever one you build gives it to you because you need it. Alternatively, we make it so you build just the potion machine and then it has some use on its own, but I don't know what that use would be. So I don't think we should do that. I think if you build this and you don't already have this machine, that you get it. Get this machine whenever you build the farm or the fishing pond, but you only ever have one of this machine. Yeah, I'll think about that some more. Freak Technic, welcome back. Happy 37. All different things workers can do. It might be interesting if you could give workers assignments or job priorities. So what I was thinking is workers right now can stock shops. So here they're going to walk their armors over to this thing. They can turn in quest items. And that's it for right now. Those are the only two things workers can do. And what we're adding is a third thing, which is going to be some machine that exists probably over here somewhere, where when you turn it on, instead of stocking the potion shop, they will now go to this machine and dump all their potions in. And it'll form some like sludge that you use to fertilize your farm or to repopulate the pond with fish. I have not themed what that sludge is. It might be like magic, it might be a growth serum, it might be something else. I don't know. So it'll give them 3 actions and you will control when they use that new machine by clicking a button on that machine or something. So yeah, that priority system will essentially exist. So you can give gifts to shopkeepers who unlock the romance event with them. Yes, 10 diamonds per day. They will eventually romance you. I will boot you over to another game on Steam for that. Has everything been answered here? Just the scale thing hasn't been incorporated. And I got to write down all this stuff that we decided for farming. So let's just put a bookmark here and copy that and put this over here. We don't have it written down, do we? Nope. I need to go to this to say that you get scales and use the scales for fortitude. Where do we write the thing about health? God, the word health shows up too many times and I lost where that thing was. Where is it? There it is. All right, so pond comes with a pond slime. This is not smart, and we're not doing that anymore. Each fish you get from battle converts into some number of scales. Scales are used to upgrade fortitude. And then I think we can just delete all this stuff. Yeah, the more you upgrade an adventurer, the more scales it will cost to upgrade it further. Dedicated UI. Maybe you get this by clicking some sort of, yeah, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. All right. Great. That's right, Freak Technic. By the way, Freak Technic, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but did you intend for your name to rhyme? Like Freak Technique? And I've just been saying it Freak Technic because that's how my American brain would pronounce this word. Because if so, I think it'd be very funny that after all these years, you've never said anything about it. All right, I think we've written down everything we need to write down for this. So I think the afternoon is going to be spent just solidifying these systems. Yeah. Whew, intense. Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. So I'm pronouncing it hopefully correctly, and just that doesn't mean anything to me. Also, that's a pretty cool name for geek. Any tips to break into the software job market? So the last time I was looking for a traditional software job was back in 2020. And back then it was the typical like send out a flurry of resumes and applications and hope to hear back and then study interviewing in that time. And I think things have changed a little bit since then in that now there is AI to do that stuff for you. Both the flurry of resumes and also the interviewing if you were so inclined, which I don't recommend. I think that's changed the landscape a bit, and it's hard for me to comment on because I have not tried applying in that landscape. But yeah, I think in general it's going to be the same sort of thing. Like apply places, grow your skills in the meantime, and maybe like build a portfolio. Depending on what kind of job you're looking for, this may or may not help. For a lot of people, just GitHub could be their portfolio, and even then, I don't think a lot of companies look at this, and especially not when there's like 5,000 applicants for a job. So I think it's somewhat difficult. The other thing I was going to say is just like with any job, I think networking is important. It is easier to go through a person who can hire you than to go through a machine that can lead you to a person that can hire you. So yeah, networking events, any sort of meetups that are in your area, talking to to friends or past coworkers. I guess sending out communication on something like a LinkedIn sort of site. Going to conventions too. Going through people's not as easy. It depends on the people, right? Like if you were looking for a job and your friend already has that job, going through your friend is probably pretty easy. LinkedIn has become what Facebook is now. Yeah, I've never liked LinkedIn, but it has helped some people find jobs. And the way I look at it is you can't be too picky if you are going to, if you want something, and there are only so many ways to get it. And in this case, what I mean is if you want to network with other professionals, like LinkedIn is a site to network with other professionals. So if you find yourself in that position, you might need to just kind of use it anyway. With that said, I don't think you need to use it for a long amount of time. If you're looking for a job and it takes you 2-3 months, let's say, then just delete your LinkedIn after that. That's what I did. Being so kind. Well, yeah, like I said, I think the landscape has changed. And I think there were also probably, honestly, probably more than like 100,000 layoffs since I was looking for a job. That's my guess, at least. Because I know each company has laid off, like, not every company, but each company that did layoffs will lay off somewhere between like 50 and 4,000 people. So probably a few of the big players laid off several thousand, and then lots of smaller layoffs too. Anyway, that contributes to the amount of time it takes any individual person to find a job. Okay, so post lunch, I want to look through this stuff. I think we have designed farming. Design how decorations will work, design the mimic. Oh man, I wonder what the importance of decoration should be. Like, let's say you only had three features you wanted to add: fishing, farming, and decorations. How would you rank these? Because some people might put decorations at the top. I don't know. Oh, Amazon alone let go of that many? I didn't realize. Yeah, so then it's probably even more than 100,000. Yeah, I don't know where to rate this, but I think we should still design this stuff if we can. Here, we'll put the perk stuff for the slime, the enchanter, farming, fishing, etc. Maybe there are bulletin boards for all of them. The tavern would be unusual if we did that. Told people to come back to the office, only be let go 1 month later. Yeah. I usually think of this stuff in terms of you can't trust a business to do what's best for the individuals unless those individuals are shareholders, maybe. Yeah, I think that's just sort of a fact of at least sort of corporate America. I think in other countries you'll at least have protections around some of that, but not in the US. Gotta love relocating to adapt to RTO conditions, only to be like, oh, yeah, I think that would be especially terrible. If you lived in the area and your company that you already worked for said come back to work and then they laid you off, it's not nearly as bad as if you lived in a different country and moved and then only got to work there for maybe a month and then got laid off. And now you can't even stay in the country. Yeah. Okay. Looking at this, this is going to take more than 3 hours. So I wonder if we should cut down on things like the Mimic, because the Mimic is like an add-on feature. Decorations are probably pretty core to what people would want to do. Yeah, I think hold off on this. Just file an issue with the broad overview and say that we still need to design this. It's just an add-on anyway, not a core system. Told him to go back. He sent a picture instead. Wait, what? I don't think I understand that part. He sent a picture instead? That's our for a company that doesn't even have an office. Yeah, do you want Kevin on the team? He quit? Is the picture what I think it is? Is there an emoji for it? Yeah, I think this is the most important thing, and this is the second most important thing. Applications will close within like a week. Oh man. Do you have any sway over there? Can you get Kevin in anyway? I can vouch for him. All right. File this stuff. I think this is already kind of done. Random or like foundational ideas to comb through. Note, I already looked through this stuff. I think we've gotten the majority of the value here. I don't think this belongs here. I think it belongs in the scratch pad. There we go. Or anything else in this thing? Yeah. Did I flush this out? Yeah. Maybe you can share with us the Google, what's PIP? Oh, performance improvement plan. What, get people fired? Luckily, else I'd probably currently have to do some interview related stuff. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't too familiar with that system at Google. I think I knew one person who was on it and eventually got fired. Actually, I guess it's hard to know if you know that you probably know people who could be on it, but you don't know that they're on it. But yeah, I knew of one person who actually was on it and got fired. I think they were just taking advantage of the company. All right, I'm very hungry. I think we made good progress. I am gonna take a break for lunch. I'm hoping it won't be too long. But either way, I think most people stop watching in the afternoon, and it's going to be more of the same. I don't blame you. More game design came up with what is hopefully a good farming system. What I'm going to be eating. I'm not totally sure yet. I got this like pre-made garlic chicken thing that I didn't like too much, but I don't like wasting food. So it's either that or some leftovers or something. I always leave the stream on even when not on roll. Thank you. Yeah. I will hopefully see you all in the afternoon then. Yeah, so frame of reference, it is 12:12. I'm gonna be gone for probably about 45 minutes for lunch. And then I think we'll do another 3 hours after lunch. Unless I'm like super tired or something, then maybe we'll cut it a little bit short. But it's gonna be more game design stuff, and then that's it. On Friday, we're going to start coding what we've talked about here. And maybe that means fishing, maybe that means farming, maybe it means something else. I think there's one other thing we got to write down for this though, right? Which is come up with any art needs that we have. Or I guess consolidate any art needs that we have. Okay, well, thank you again, everyone, for being here. Thanks for the support. I'll be back in a little under an hour, I think. So see ya. Have a good rest of your day if I don't see ya.